Hello. Hello and good afternoon to all my lovely, beautiful, and wonderful sisters or Sakhis who've joined us today. Welcome and thank you for joining us in our first celebration of Women's Day organized by our Chetna Women's Forum. I am Gayatri Nagabhushan, both an advocate for women's rights and equality and a Chetna volunteer, and have the great pleasure of hosting you today on this lovely afternoon. Thanks to all the passionate volunteers. We have a filled agenda for this afternoon, from recognizing our community heroes, um, uh, speeches to inspire us and motivate us, some entertainment with dance, followed by a wellness session from our own physicians here in Portland. Let's kick off this day by drawing our attention to the 2021 International Women's Day theme, which is hashtag choose to challenge. A challenged world is an alert world, and from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. How can we as individuals help forge gender equal world, help highlight and celebrate women's achievements, help raise awareness against bias, and take action for equality? With these thoughts lingering in your head, I invite you all to come together, be inspired, lift each other up, and lean on. With these thoughts, let's kick off the session with an icebreaker hosted by Aarti. Aarti?
Hi, everyone. All right. Happy Sunday. That's how I start. So when I was thinking about Icebreaker, I started looking for a history of Women's Day. Initially, Women's Day was planned for March 6th. Women took 2 days to get ready. So that's how it got postponed to March 8th. And don't worry, we also planned a Men's Day, but as obviously, men forgot the date. So let's start our icebreaker today. And I would want to ask 3 questions, like very simple 3 questions. And my first question would be to Uma. Uma, tell me one thing you did for yourself today.
Hi, Aarti. Nice to see you. Let me think. I did grounding meditation for my team today for my work, which is for me and for my team, work team. So I had been a grounding guide for a while. So today we had a small meeting, and I started the meeting with a guided meditation. So that's for me and for the team.
Oh, that's amazing. So guys and girls, purposely I said guys, we women always tend to ignore ourselves. So we are our biggest investment. Trust me, one time, think about yourself every single day. So this question, I really want to ask Sarika. Sarika, would you switch on your camera? Hi,
Sure.
Sarika.
Hi,
When was the last time you danced?
Been a while, probably. It's been a while.
That tells something about it. And guys and girls, again, are you listening? That's your woman who wants to really fly, dance, live. This is your own responsibility. If you have a full cup of coffee, a coffee will spill. If you have a full cup of love, love will spill. So find what you love. Women, please find something that makes you feel alive and do it for yourself. You will, trust me, you will have more love to give. Last question for Reena. Reena, can you please switch on your camera? I really want, she's my prettiest friend. Actually, all women are pretty.
Hey, dear.
So you look really good, Reena.
Thank
very
you,
beautiful. And Reena, tell me, in last whole week, 3 things you did for yourself. 3 things. 7 days, 3 things.
Okay.
And it has to be different.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So probably one thing is doing some artwork, because I enjoy that and I use that as meditation.
Second, I would probably say just kind of getting me time, doing nothing, and it allows me to be more constructive and more productive next time when I jump into some project. Um, Third one, I don't know, maybe ordering food from outside and just enjoying instead of having to cook.
Yeah, that's exactly, my dear friend. That's a reminder for yourself. We all have a very short life. Trust me. Stop living for somebody else. Live for yourself every single day. For 7 days, if you would have to think in 3 times that what did you do, that itself is a reminder. That's the answer. You've got to live yourself. In the night, when you take a nap or when you sleep, think about what did I do for myself? And that's exactly the answer. If you find it very easy, you are doing it. You are my hero. You are the superwoman. All right. So next is a simple one. I've already taken a lot of time asking. So since I asked Sarika when was the last time she danced, and it was in a while, so I'm gonna take Sarika for an action, and I'm gonna say, you know what? We all need to dance. If you know how to walk, you all can dance. So I'm gonna teach just 4 simple steps, and you can do it while sitting, you can do it while standing, you can do it whatever you feel like. But when you move, your body flows, and when your body flows, you feel alive. Trust me. My 2-year-old used to dance. My 3-year-old still dance. And so what I'm going to do is you're going to shake your shoulders like this. Like this. Very simple. Really simple. All right. This is the simple Bhangra step. If you know this, any music, and I am looking at Sarika especially, okay? My Sarika is going to show you how to do balle balle. Every 2 years, you ask him how to do balle balle, he'll do it. But when a 30-year-old becomes, I don't know, they don't know. I don't know why. That joy goes away. So everybody, Gayatri, this is for you too. All right. Now, the next step is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hate to sit, so I'm going to stand. You keep sitting. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the third step. So first step, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is our balle balle. Next is 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Third step, 1, 2. That's shifting the weight and moving your body. Calling all the flows. You are in the movement. And the last step is like sweeping the floor and give a clap. Sweeping the floor and give a clap. Sweeping the floor and give a clap. All right, let's do it on the music now. Let's warm up our body and do it on the music. All right, let's have some fun. And you will love this. This song means we gotta dance. Good job, girls. That's all it means. Kudi nu nachna hai. Kudi, girl, women needs to dance, live, sing, meditate, yoga, do something for yourself. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you're warmed up and you had fun. In fact, just 4 steps made me really happy. I hope this makes you happy too. And thank you for doing this, Chetna. I love you.
Now, that was a great start, Aarti. Thanks for getting us moving and into the mood. Aarti is an active volunteer of our Chetna Foundation and she'll be back with her dance team in a few minutes to entertain us. Thank you so much again, Aarti. Hope everybody got out of their seats, danced around a little bit, and got into the zone. Now, with that, I would like to quote Maya Angelou. She said, "If you find it in your heart to care for somebody, you will have succeeded." And I truly believe in that. It's very satisfying indeed to give something back, and that actually makes you feel good multiple folds. I'd like to invite our lead volunteers, Lalita, Reena, and Sarika, to briefly talk about Chetna Foundation and the Women's Forum. The floor is yours, Lalita.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is Lalita Dinavahi, one of the volunteers of Chetna Foundation. It's an honor for us to talk about Chetna and its activities in USA and outside. Although Chetna does not need any introduction, let me give you a little background on the evolution of Chetna. Chetna was started as a non-profit organization in December 2016 with the primary objective of helping the needy and underprivileged by actively undertaking several social welfare programs. Today, Chetna aspires to strengthen and cultivate inclusivity within disadvantaged communities by making education more accessible and eliminate barriers to essential resources. Hunger, education, environment, and empowerment are the 4 pillars of service Chetna stands on. Now, let me walk you through the few of many activities Chetna does. Chetna is committed to engaging proactively in the fight against hunger. Next slide, please. Sack lunch for homeless, shelter cooking, food drive, sponsoring, and helping Oregon Food Bank in packing lunch for homeless are few of its activities. Next slide, please. Chetna undertakes various education initiatives. Chetna contributes to the community by helping underprivileged kids with school supplies, water bottles, backpacks, and organizing college events for youth to enhance their career options. Promoting awareness for environmental conservation is another key pillar. Tree plantation, adopt a road are few of Chetna's contribution to environment conservation. Empowerment is all about bringing possibilities of better living in individual lives, whether it is making them independent in daily life by distributing wheelchairs and prosthetic limbs. Chetna also empowers women to earn their livelihood by distributing sewing machines and wet grinders. Other activities Chetna undertakes are winter cloth drive, kids coloring activities for cancer survivors, celebrating Father's Day at retirement homes, and many more. Now, let's take a look at some of the impact we have driven through all of these activities. Next slide, please. As they say, data connects to your brain, but impact touches your heart. So let's see what the impact Chetna made on our hearts. With this, I'd like to invite one of our volunteers, Reena, to share more about Chetna Foundation. Our volunteer, Reena, would give us more details now. Reena, here you go, please.
Thank you, Lalita. You described the core of Chetna Foundation so beautifully. Hi, everyone. This is Reena Mandera, one of the core volunteers of Chetna. And to add more to what Lalita shared, I also want to share some words. So having planted seed in Portland, Oregon, Chetna's branches have spread far and wide, not only locally, but internationally as well. Chetna has now local chapters in Texas, Arizona, California, Michigan, as well as in other countries like India, Canada, and Uganda. Chetna continues to lead community work aligned to its pillars we just heard from Lalita about at all of these chapters as well. Next slide, please. Pandemic has not stopped us from marching on Chetna's mission. It has kept up the fight against the hunger and internationally as well as locally by providing meals in homeless shelters, hospitals, even by distributing some groceries. And Chetna has reached out to community to help, whether it is a contribution towards COVID relief activities or West Coast forest fire. As part of COVID relief, we have distributed masks and sanitizers to frontline workers, essential supplies to low income and daily wage workers as well. Next slide, please. So another important aspect Chetna focuses on is developing youth for better tomorrow. Chetna's youth leadership program provides fantastic opportunities to young leaders, not only to hone their leadership skills, but also to cultivate selfless act by giving back to the community. Chetna youth volunteers have been making us proud by achieving Presidential Volunteer Service Award for the past 2 years and standing exemplary for their contemporaries and friends with their commitment and passion towards helping the fellow people. So while talking about Chetna's youth board, it brings me to one more aspect of Chetna, which is Women Forum. And let's hear more on it from another core volunteer of Chetna Foundation, Sarika. Sarika, here you go.
Thank you, Reena and Lalita, for a quick insight about Chetna Foundation. I am Sarika Dukipati, one of the many active volunteers of Chetna Foundation. Let me give you a small glimpse of what we do as part of Women's Forum. Chetna Women's Forum is growing at a very quick pace with an excellent team of volunteers bringing in new ideas. Women are multitaskers, and if they can stretch their sensibilities towards the community, then we can create a better society for our next generation. This Women's Day honors is our way of recognizing these amazing women from our community who always stood exemplary for many more and have always supported us in our efforts. Chetna Women's Forum have so far undertaken mask making project for local hospitals, including Portland Clinic and Kaiser Permanente. Under the guidance of our active volunteer Uma Sundaram, Women's Forum volunteers have delivered around 6,000 handmade masks to frontline workers. Chetna Women's Forum collaborated with Soulbox, an NGO, to make around 400 origami boxes to show support to gun-related victims. Next slide, please. We have distributed tricycles and wheelchairs to specially abled women on the occasion of Women's Day this year on 8th March 2021. Next slide, please. Here's a quick announcement for the coming soon. In the near future, Chetna Women's Forum, in collaboration with Chetna's Youth Outreach Department, is planning a couple of events. We'll be conducting a virtual webinar with Dr. Bhavna Parikh, an oncologist, for awareness on cancers in women. We're also planning a drive to empower women in their career by providing basic needs to be successful in everyday's life and work. Watch out for flyers, they're pretty soon coming out. Please join us to bring in that much needed change in our communities. Let's build a positive and peaceful world that we want for our coming generations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lalita, Reena, and Sarika, for the wonderful introduction and giving us a glimpse of some of the wonderful work Chetna Foundation and its volunteers are doing to make the community better around us. It is International Women's Day that we are celebrating today. We all know that International Women's Day is a holiday. It's celebrated annually on the March 8th. Its significance is to commemorate the cultural, political, and socio-economic achievements of women. It is a focal point of women's rights movements, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence against women. Did you know nearly 60% of women around the world work in an informal economy, earning less, saving less, and at a greater risk of falling for poverty? Women earn 23% less than men globally in the same jobs that men do today, right? So women occupy only 24% of the parliamentary seats worldwide. These are all some facts that show us the data that we have a long way to go in bringing in gender equality and raising awareness against bias that is provided in women. 1 in 3 women have experiences of physical or sexual violence. This is really a sad state of affairs. And it is up to each one of us to make and to provide ways in which we can do it, provide an impact, right? Change isn't about just big headline moments, legal victories, or international agreements. It's about the way we talk, we think, and we act every day that can create the ripple effect and bring the change in the world that we want to see. I'm going to pause for a moment. We have a number of leaders and speakers with us who are joining to provide us some motivation and some inspiration. And I'm going to do a quick check to see if they have joined us. Give me a second. Okay. Thank you for all the speakers and who are able to join us today and willing to spend time with us. Ability is what one is capable of doing. Motivation determines what one can do, and attitude determines how well we can do it. We are honored to have some amazing women who have exemplified and thrived in their professional lives and service to their community by giving back. They are here with us today to share their thoughts and inspire us. Do we have Mayor Lacey Beatty join us?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to give a very short introduction. It's with great pleasure I introduce our first speaker for today, Mayor Lacey Beatty. She was elected Beaverton's mayor in 2020. Prior to serving as the mayor, she served for 6 years in the Beaverton City Council. She is the youngest ever elected official in the Beaverton's history. Mayor Beatty believes in robust community engagement coupled with intentional collaboration across the City Council, city staff, and the community members. Under her leadership of the City Council, Beaverton adopted a Black and Brown Lives Matter resolution and a Sanctuary City resolution. She also ensured the inclusion of service-disabled veteran business language added to the city's minority, women, and emerging business economy policy. She's known and respected as someone who asks the tough questions, isn't afraid to stand alone to fight for what is right and fair, and as someone who shows up prepared and ready to work for her community. She believes that service to one's country is one of the greatest sacrifices a person can make. With all these accomplishments, she's also a lacrosse coach and she coached student athletes from kindergarten through college. She will tell you that being called coach is one of the greatest titles she's ever earned. With that, I'd like to invite our Mayor Lacey Beatty to share a few words with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me here to speak today. I didn't know I was supposed to be super motivating, so I'm going to try really hard to pick it up and be a little bit more upbeat than normal. And if we were talking yesterday when it was nice and sunny, it would have been a little bit easier, but it's kind of gloomy outside today. So I'm gonna fake the funk a little bit as we're kind of transitioning into spring and summer months. I know I'm pretty excited. I want to start by thanking you guys for your service to our community. You are, kind of the leading spear and the tip to help elevate voices of underrepresented communities. And you're working together to eliminate barriers and to create a more inclusive world. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about some women I know who helped pave the way for other women. As was mentioned in the introduction, I'm the first woman mayor of Beaverton. And that's kind of crazy. Like, we're over 127 years old, and this is the first time we've ever had a woman mayor. And when I was elected 7 years ago, I was only the 13th woman ever elected in our city's history. And today we crossed over 16 with our 2 new elected city councilors, one of which Councilor Hassan, who's talking a little bit later. But it might look like, because you see, 4 women serving on the city council now, that it's always been that way, but it's been a hard fought battle to get women where we're at. And I'm sorry, you hear my child in the background. My husband's working today, and this is like total mom life, you know, just hearing my kid going on in the background here. When I was elected, you know, 6 years ago, our entire elected body around us were men. Our entire, hey, love. Hey, I'm on. Can you give me a minute?
Hey, where's Gecko?
Okay, Gecko will be back soon. Thank you. Sorry about that. We had,
A pause. No.
Sorry about that, guys. Here, we'll kind of refresh and start again here. We kind of, you know, we fought really hard to get where we are. You know, all of our state reps, all of our senators were men, all of our parks board were men, all of our county commissioners were men. There's still some really good men serving today. I just don't believe they should have every seat at the table, and women have fought really hard to get there. And like our vice president says, you know, I might be the first woman to hold this office, but I won't be the last. I have that poster in my office. It's a daily reminder to me for my responsibility to help raise other women leaders up and open the door for them. I'm excited that my daughter, who's interrupting us here today, gets to grow up in a community where women are elevated to the highest levels of public office. I know last election cycle, when I got to you know, vote for myself, vote for a woman congresswoman, vote for a woman governor, vote for a woman county commissioner. It was so empowering. I wish that my great grandmother, the matriarch of our family, could have been here to see that her great granddaughter was elected as the first woman mayor of Beaverton. I keep a photo in her office on my desk to remind me. She would often tell me stories. You know, the first time she got to vote, she was well into her late 20s, and she had to do so in a covered wagon to get where the voting polls. There's so many women that have paid the price to make sure that women like me were able to serve. And it's our honor and it's our responsibility to make sure that we don't forget those women along the way. And I hope when my daughter's old enough to vote that the names on the ballot will be more representative of the people in her own community. And while we've come a long way, there's so much work to do all of the time. I'm incredibly thankful for the voters who put me in office. It was no easy victory. And it wouldn't have been possible without the women who supported me. So I want to talk a little bit about what some of those women look like and how they helped me. Catherine Harrington, the chair of our county commission, she endorsed me out of the gate against an incumbent mayor, which was a really big deal. And she did it because I was the right leader for our community at the time, not just because I was a woman. But it was that first endorsement that opened and paved the ways for everyone else to come around me. And just like today, you know, running for office while you're parenting, married to somebody with a job that's also intense is hard. I mean, I had almost every volunteer on my campaign was another woman. You know, I had a friend, Tia Ping, who's elected official herself, that stayed up at night stapling literature for me to hand out. I mean, Councilor Hassan and her family stuffed envelopes for me with her kids and made it a family affair. I had people come and pick up my daughter because my husband's in the National Guard and he's often activated, especially during times of crisis, which happened during the entire election cycle, that they would just come and take my daughter so I could focus and call voters for 2 or 3 hours. You know, when you're talking to women like this, you can have your kid in the background, but when you're trying to win a voter over, you got to be concentrated on what they're saying and what they're asking. And a crying kid in the background isn't always the easiest way to do it. So, you know, I've taken the responsibility to not only recognize the women that came before me and how they helped me become where I'm at, but really taken the opportunity to uplift other women as they come through office. And there's a lot of challenges that we face in our community that are not just unique to women, but are often born more by us, you know, the childcare responsibilities. You know, today I got home from the store and my husband was like, "Did you remember the dish soap?" Well, I didn't do the dishes last. I didn't know it was there, but somehow my responsibility to remember that. You know, it's a path that a lot of us chose, and it's one I'm immensely grateful for, but just it looks different for working women sometimes. So I want, I know that you guys are leaders and we have the same responsibility and opportunities to raise those up around you. I've heard that you're looking to partner with other local organizations here in Beaverton, like Home Plate Youth Services. I've been on their board for almost a decade, and I can personally attest to the good work and thoughtful work they're doing in our community. They're the only nonprofit addressing teen houselessness and homelessness in the entire county. And Beaverton has one of the worst statistics, that we have the highest rates of teen experiencing homelessness than anywhere in the state. And people don't think about Beaverton that way. They think about us as cul-de-sacs and minivans and people that work at Nike and Intel and Columbia. But there's this whole other side to our community of people just trying to get by. What the pandemic has shown us for those kids that were experiencing homelessness, it's so much harder to hide it now, because you can't go do your homework in the library. You can't do some of these really important things. So as you work to shape this women's chapter for your group, I want to offer you some challenges. As the introduction said, how are we going to challenge each other to be better leaders? I want you to ask yourself, who are the women in my life that need help? What doors can I open? I personally have taken a stance that I don't mentor, and I know that's hard sometimes for really successful people, but I'm surrounded by other women who want to run for office that have more education, more life experience, and I think it's inauthentic to devalue them to say that someone of my stature, of maybe younger in age and less education, would be the one mentoring them. But what I can do is sponsor them. I can invite them into rooms they might not otherwise have access. I might be able to invite them to attend a dinner if they can't afford a ticket themselves, so they have the opportunity to really shine. What doors can you open, and who do you need to show up for? How can I use my voice and your platform to bring about change in our community? The work we are doing is important, and it's not over anytime soon. I want to thank you for including me in today's event. I'm excited to hear from your other speakers, and may we be united in purpose and in strength of spirit. Thank you for having me, and thank you for entertaining my child screaming in the background.
Thank you, Mayor Beatty. That was a very inspirational speech. And thank you for sharing your experiences, for challenging us, for daring us. Paying it forward is a personal favorite of mine that I believe in. And I think it's women who can bring women up. And not to say that men cannot, but I think we have to pay a more focused thought in bringing up other women in our circle, around us, who are willing to be the change. Thank you for sharing those thoughts and experiences. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Preet Swarni. She is the Group General Counsel and the Chief Compliance Officer of Infosys. She leads the legal and compliance function of the company. In addition to all the professional accolades, she also serves as the National Advisory Council of Sabana. She was an honoree in the 2017 Transformative Leadership Awards, which honors the success of General Counsel who've demonstrated commitment to advancing women in law. She was given the Thought Leadership Award in 2018 and in 2020 named as the Top 25 Global IT Women Leaders. It's my pleasure to invite Ms. Preet Swarni to share a few thoughts with us here.
Thank you very much. Hello to everybody, and thank you very much for inviting me here today and giving me the privilege of speaking to you. I understand that we have people from across the US and perhaps some very early risers in India as well. So good morning and big namaste to everybody in India. As I was listening in with your, the previous segments that you were playing before I came on, and you were talking about me giving an inspirational talk, I must say I'm very, very inspired by what Chetna does. It's absolutely brilliant, the kind of community service that all of you are doing, across various aspects of our social life, and devoting your time, effort, leadership skills, resources to making a difference in the life of those who are less fortunate. And if anything, the last year has shown us as to how deep this divide is and how the pandemic in some ways has widened this gap as well. So thank you for everything that you do. Many, many small steps result in a movement which can be transformational. So with that being said, and truly inspired by you, I thought I'll share my life story and perhaps a few things that have worked for me. And as we are celebrating International Women's Day, I today work in the IT industry, which is a male-dominated industry. I'm one of the few women executives at my company. And I really cherish the fact that not only the fact that I have a seat at the table, but also a voice at the table. Times like this, when we celebrate International Women's Day, this whole month gives you time to pause and think about your own journey. You've talked about the inequity that exists, the gender biases that we all deal with. And perhaps in this story, I can share what has worked for me. And I wish there was an opportunity to hear what has worked for many of yours, but this medium somewhat restricts us. But in any case, I want to start by saying that my own team is a very gender equitable team. We are about 100 lawyers across the company and equally divided amongst men and women. And not only that, one of my great privileges that I really, really enjoy at work is that I also have a ethnically very diverse team. And the way I describe working with a diverse team is that, when you work in a team that looks like you get a very monochromatic view of the world, right? It's an echo chamber. Or you're standing at the basement level and looking at the world, you see it. But when you embrace diversity in all of its aspects, right? Whether it is gender, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's backgrounds that people come from, you almost get a panoramic view of the world. And once you see the world in high resolution, you're not going to want to go back. So with that said, my background is actually, and my story is a very simple one. I was born and grew up in India in a middle-class family. My father was an officer in the Indian Army. My mom was a homemaker, and she was a primary caregiver, and her career choices were only, she was only able to exercise them when they happened to coincide if we were living in a city where my father was posted, and she could go teach in the local schools there, knowing full well that that opportunity would come to an end the moment we had to move. And I mention her because many of us who are successful today in our professional lives have had a lot of women who've gone before us, their aspirations outside the home somewhat unfulfilled, just by the sheer fact of when they were born, right? It has nothing to do with their abilities. It has got nothing to do with their talent, but just the timing of their birth. And I think that in many ways, including for myself, what these women have done for us have created stepping stones by enabling many of us to flourish professionally. They have ensured that, at least in the case of many, many Indian households, that education has remained central and has been made available to both men and women equally, right? And what you choose to do with it then is yours to do with it. So I do want to call out those women. I understand that there are many volunteers who are part of Chetna Foundation who may belong to that generation as well. So I do salute those women and thank you for doing all you've done for our generation and for the generation that's going to come behind us, for our daughters, granddaughters, nieces, sisters, and our friends. So let me talk a little bit about what are the ways to deal with some of these gender biases that we face at the workplace. We saw Mayor Beatty balancing life and work in very real time, just a few minutes ago. And I truly believe that we will achieve true equality when men share in the equal responsibility of bringing up the next generation, right? And these are words of our former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who probably single-handedly has done has done more for women equality than anybody else, especially in the United States. And if you think about it as to how powerful that sentiment is, when men share equally, employers don't look at women as who are going to be challenged in their careers when it comes time for rearing children. They will look at men and women equally. Think of the role models you're creating for your sons and daughters as they watch them being co-parented equally, right? It's not just the responsibility of the mother. And in my case, I've been fortunate that I had a spouse who was very supportive. I have a son who's, we're empty nesters now. He's 23 years old, but it is a challenge raising and balancing work and life. But when you have the network that you can create, it makes it easier. And I would say to all the women who are sort of balancing life and career, you don't have to go it alone. There is no downside in asking for help. In fact, you must take all the help that you can get, whether it's at work, whether it's your family, whether it's your neighborhood, whatever extension of any kind of help that you can get. It truly does take a village. So, and I hope that, if we raise our children in that environment, as this next generation that's getting into the workplace and they rise, they will offer a more equitable workplace, and we won't have women getting paid 60 cents on the dollar even today. In many, many ways, we've come a long way, and we celebrate successes of the women before us because representation does matter. When we look at our vice president, and every brown and black woman is looking at her and saying that this is no longer just the arc of an hypothetical, it's a reality, right? And so in that scenario, every progress that we make is wonderful, but in many ways, you turn around and say it's 2021, and why are we still celebrating International Women's Day? If the world was truly gender equitable, we wouldn't have to call this day out for women, right? And so I believe that there is a long journey still ahead of us. We pat ourselves on the back, we recognize those who came before us, but I think that there is much to do. And I hope that we leave this place better for our daughters, granddaughters, and nieces, having fought some of their battles for them, in my own life, as I think back on my career, I think in many ways, I didn't recognize discrimination when it presented itself, because we in many ways were not equipped with that vocabulary. And sometimes not having that vocabulary also leaves you challenged. But I do connect the dots in hindsight. And I hope that our next generation will not have to do it, right? So I would also say that in many ways, if anything, this pandemic has taught us that there are available assets, technology that can make life a lot easier. There was no work from home when I started my career. There was no work from anywhere. There wasn't the technology available. So in many ways, I think the next generation can harness some of these to sort of succeed in their careers, do things that are somewhat easier. And then I would also say that don't be afraid of taking big bets and some risks. It's okay to fail as long as you learn and recover, because with big risks come big rewards. Have your voice heard. There's tons and tons of, help that is available, right? There's information that is available. I would also say that if for our generation or for my generation, if education was in the center of what set us on our way to our careers, for this next generation, it's going to be staying relevant. Many times we find that as people get to work, what they've learned becomes outdated even as they're stepping into the workforce. So reskilling yourselves has to remain central to achieving success. And again, there is plenty of tools, plenty of resources that are available to all of us so that we can stay relevant, stay reskilled. And then finally, I will say that as you move up, make sure that you also become allies for other women who are around you. It's in the spirit of community giving that we started talking about. And everybody who's here and listening to this has already embraced it. So this is like preaching to the choir, but also in many ways, it is incumbent on each of us to ensure that we take with us other women, give them the opportunities, be their allies, be their sponsors. The mayor was very articulate about what she said when she was talking about the opportunities that she presents to other women. And, sometimes you just be a sounding board. Sometimes you be their sponsor. Sometimes you open doors for them. And so let me end by saying that, as we celebrate this day, this month for women, here's to strong women. Maybe know them, maybe be them, and maybe raise them. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In fact, you stole the words out of my mouth. That was going to be my closing thoughts. So thank you for sharing both your picking out examples from your personal life, showing and reminding us that, it's how we act that our kids are watching us. So it is upon us today as we do our day-to-day stuff, right? Trying to tell our sons what we expect from them, showing our sons what we expect from them, showing our daughters what we expect from them, right? So bias and gender equality starts at home. It starts very close to home, and it starts when they start watching us, not just what we teach them, it's how we act, right? So I invite all of us to start thinking about it, thinking about how some of our actions actually shape the future minds, right? So it's as much about educating our sons than about educating our daughters as well. So with those thoughts, our next speaker for tonight's event is our newly elected Beaverton City Councilor, Ms. Nadia Hassan. She is a former high school teacher who worked in Beaverton School District. She hopes to bring a new perspective to local issues, which she considers are essential for the growth of Beaverton and its citizens. She's also a huge advocate of women's rights and frequently shares her own experiences about growing up as a first-generation South Asian woman. Inviting our Beaverton City Councilor, Nadia Hassan, to share a few thoughts with us today.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. I feel like I have a hard act to follow to go after the mayor, and just such a lovely, lovely group of people that you're hearing from. I will start off with a small kind of thing that I want to say that I heard at the beginning of this, which was, I think it was Arthi, and she was saying, how do you take care of yourself? What is something that you did for yourself today? And I remember thinking like, okay, I slept in, or I did a quick workout, and how self-care has really evolved. And so I challenge all of you to make sure that you are self-caring, because as we celebrate Women's Day and women, we also have to remember the amount of work that we're doing to make things better, and how important it is that we fill our cup, as Arthi said earlier. I'll start with a story about my mom, who I love, and also sometimes we butt heads a lot too. She came to this country in 1982. My father is Indian and my mom is Pakistani. And in 1982, she was on a plane with a man who she had chosen to marry. And she tells this story to us, which is the man on the plane, who is my dad, kept talking about alcohol. And we're Muslim and she's Muslim. And she kept thinking to herself, if this guy drinks, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to get to America and I'm going to leave him. And he just was he was trying to prepare my mother, who was born and raised in Pakistan and grew in a fairly low income area with not a lot of access to food, but education. And she had an older brother who pushed her and said, you are going to become a doctor. And so she studied to be a doctor. And when she got to the United States, the man that she sat with on the plane, who was her husband, did not drink. And so things worked out for them. And there was a couple things that happened. My dad sponsored a ton of our family to come to America. So my grandmother came, my aunt came, my grandfather came, I had uncles that came. And as more of these people came, my father said, you need to go to work. Shagufta, that's her name. We need you to work. Like this isn't, he pushed and said, I want you to work and please work. And it's important for you to be involved. And so she, and at the time, to get a residency as a doctor, as a foreign medical grad was really difficult. And so she was writing letters and sending resumes. And she tells the story of going to Harlem in Harlem, New York, and going to Harlem Hospital and basically just telling the secretary, I'm a doctor and I want to get a residency. And the secretary saying, okay, I'll tell them, your application has been looked at. And she said, no, I want to meet with them. And I want to be a resident and I want residency here at this Harlem hospital. And I shared that story because it is the reality of many of our women and women that come from abroad, wherever they come from, right? This feeling of anxiety and fear of what's coming when you choose to come here and choose to be here when you've been raised somewhere totally different with totally different values. But then her persistence to choose to pursue residency with, I was probably 4 years old. So a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home, and her desire to continue to keep going. And I talk about my grandma and my aunt and dadi, right? And chachis and khalas, because those were the people that raised us when my mom went to work and my dad went to work. And so the importance of that family and that family structure and how hard we've worked and how important it is that while we continue to do that work, that we also make sure that we take care of ourselves. There was a moment 6 years ago, and I think I shared this, I can't remember when I shared this, but I had I have a son, I have a 9-year-old son, and I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I have a 2-year-old daughter. And I had to go back to work after having my daughter. And, most of you probably did not, if you had children, have paid leave or even any kind of leave, depending on when you had your kids. So with my son, I did not have a full-time job. I did not get paid leave. With my daughter, I had a full-time job. I had, it was, I think, like 2/3 paid leave. And it was 6 weeks. And so I had to go back after 6 weeks, but we looked at our finances and we said, we'll make this work. I'll go back in 3 months. And 3 months of being home with this child and imagining having to go back to work and just the emotional turmoil of having to go back to work. I just was really struggling. I would drop the baby off at daycare, and I was lucky. The company that I worked at had an on-site daycare. So it wasn't like she was far from me, but the emotional toll of dropping her off, of driving an hour home. And I was so wrecked that I finally just went to my boss and I said, I can't do this. I have to be able to work from home. I need some flexibility. And if you can imagine 6 years ago, that wasn't a thing, right? So to Preet's point, like we can now work from home. There's more flexibility that didn't exist, 6 years ago. And so I said, I just can't do this. And so I quit my job. And I remember after quitting with very little plan, also, my husband will say, I don't know what you were thinking. Thankfully, he was really supportive. I just sat in the car and thought, like, what am I going to do next? Like, I love this child. I love my career. I don't know how to have both. And I struggled for a couple months trying to decide what to do and figure things out. I was able to land some part-time work, which I was really thankful for and excited about. And I remember feeling so empty trying to, right? Like I felt like I was choosing between my career and being a mom. And I didn't want to choose. Like it shouldn't be a choice. And I just remember thinking, like, it won't be a choice. It will not be a choice. When my daughter has a child, she will have some sort of leave. She will have something. She won't have to choose between her career and her children. And I don't know what that means at the time because I wasn't very politically active. But I knew that I would work towards somehow pushing for that for her and for my for my other daughter. And so I'm so thankful to have been raised up by women and other women who said, yes, you should, you can run and you can do this. And Mayor Beatty included, right? Like, you can run, you can do this. And people saying that I could do it. And then I did it. And here I am. And I feel so thankful that my voice is at the table to help start to make decisions. But I also know that my voice is not the only voice that's needed. We need more voices that really look like us and think like us and have a kid running in the back, and maybe is a single parent and maybe is some of those things. And so I think of what your organization does, and what Chetana is doing is it's fulfilling a social services gap that exists right now, specifically. And we know that exists here in Portland and Beaverton. And I want to recognize you for that work because it's so important. So thank you so much for doing it. But I also want to challenge my colleagues at work, right, in City Council, to say it shouldn't just be on our communities to help other communities live, right? Like, this should be a collective effort. We should all feel like we are all packing sack lunches and we are making sure that canned goods are being delivered to all families. It shouldn't fall on just the nonprofit community or just our communities of color, or just underrepresented groups. And, to this day, if I call my mom and I say, Mom, there's a family, they don't have groceries, can you go pick something up? She'll do it. She does it all the time. She's an amazing woman, very, very selfless. I've given her addresses of people who need food all the time, and she'll do it really regularly. And my hope is that when I listen to the mayor and when I listen to other elected officials who I work with, that we start building these social services or these social nets so that the work is less on you and that we are doing it with you and alongside of you. And I share that because while you are doing amazing work in the community, we also need activists who are coming to us, and not the mayor, not me, right? Some of our colleagues, some of our county commissioners, some of our state legislators, and saying, hey, people need food, or people need this support, or like, what can we do? Because you're filling this really big gap and it's really important, but the gap is getting bigger and bigger. And we saw the pandemic highlight that. And so I hope that as you women leaders continue to be amazing moms, daughters, sisters, role models, raise beautiful children, raise intelligent children, raise sons who respect and listen to the women in their life, that you also push us as elected officials and the people around you to say, what are we doing so that we don't have to have so many of these drives? How are we supporting our community? How are we lifting each other up? Because that work, if we're able to continue to do that, we will hopefully have people who don't have to worry about who don't have to worry about equitable education, who don't have to worry about work. And so what I feel like I've learned in this last, just 3 months is that we need to hear from people like you, and we need to hear like how we can better serve our communities, and we need to know which communities we might be missing, and we don't know a lot of that. And so thank you for the work that you're doing, but continue to challenge us. And most importantly, please fill your cup, because if your cup is not full, we need you. We need the work that each and every one of you is doing is so important for families, for children, for our communities. And so please make sure that as you're doing it, that you do take that moment to take care of yourself. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to be real. I think that sometimes I loved seeing Mayor Beatty's daughter. And although my husband did just lock the door because he wanted to make sure none of my kids walked in, which is really sweet of him, I think it's important for us to talk about the things that we struggle with. And I think in our cultures specifically, and I wasn't going to say this, but now I'll say it. I remember being young and when I first had my son and being like, this is not what I signed up for. And my mom would be like, nahi, aise na bolo, don't say it like that. Don't say that, and I'd be like, this is horrible. This is not what I wanted, and she would be like, no, you have to give thanks. And, it was really hard. And I encourage you to talk to each other about how hard some of this is, because that's also part of self-care. It's admitting that 3 kids is a lot and 3 kids is hard. And gosh, I don't know what I was signing up for. And back in India and Pakistan, 3 kids is easy because you have aunties and uncles and all these people around. But in America, it's like, who's going to babysit and how much do I have to pay for that? And what does that look like? And so I thank you so much for all that you're doing. Please take care of yourselves. And please encourage officials around you in terms of legislative leaders or elected officials or communities, all of us, so that we continue to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our community. When we talk about representation, that wasn't on purpose. Like that wasn't done not on purpose. It was purposely done for some of our voices to not be in those rooms. And we are pushing hard to make sure more of our voices, whether it's women, whether it's people of color, whatever it is, that we continue to have those voices, but we need more and more and more of those, because then we will be able to build a community that we can all be happy in. So thank you again for everything and super appreciate you all.
Thank you so much, Councilor Hassan, for drawing parallels from your everyday life, for reminding us that we can do it. And thank you for sharing all the lovely experiences. I'd like to invite Sindhu Salis for an important announcement. Educating a girl is like educating a family, more educating a society. And we have some exciting news to share. Inviting Sindhu.
Thank you, Gayatri. Hello, beautiful people. So I'm here to do an important announcement. But before that, Gayatri has already mentioned, but I just wanted to say it again. I wanted to share a very popular African proverb. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And isn't that so true? I'm so happy and proud to announce on behalf of Chetna Women's Forum, who has taken initiative to support girls' education. One of our own Portlander, Lisa Davis, started sponsoring for the girls' education by paying for fees, buying books, laptops. And this is going to be an ongoing process. And if you want to be a part of this beautiful cause, please contact Chetna Foundation by emailing chetnapdx@gmail.com. Also, on this special occasion of Women's Day, Chetna Foundation has received a donation of $1,000 from Padma Alluri to use for the empowerment of underprivileged women. Thank you so much, Padma. And over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you, Sindhu, for sharing this awesome news. And I'd like to invite everybody, whoever is interested, to come and join hands with us and be part of the change. Now, let's welcome Aarti and her dance team. They are going to be beautifully depicting the power of Shakti in rendering to Sri Adi Shankaracharya's Aigiri Nandini.
जय जय हे सम्यकपर्धिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरधर्षिणि दुर्मुखमर्षिणि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि किल्बिषमोषिणि घोषरते नन्दिनि.
Thank you to our lovely dancers, Aarti, Peony, and Nia, for the beautiful dance and for taking us up into the entertainment world for a few minutes. Like to get into the next section of our program. Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." On this Women's Day, we would like to take this opportunity in celebrating these women heroes around us, right, here in Portland, who are exemplifying this value day in and day out. We are also going to be recognizing women both in 2020 and 2021. The Women's Day was originally planned for the year 2020 due to the onset of COVID. We had to cancel our plans, but we didn't want to miss the opportunity of the women who were exemplified in 2020 as well. So I'd like to invite Padma Shri and Soumya to introduce some of these women and the service they provided to the community both in 2020 and in 2021. There you go, Padma.
Thank you, Gayatri. Hi, everyone. I'm Padma Shri Gargesha, a community volunteer who works with organizations in the greater Portland area. Here's wishing all of you wonderful women a very happy Women's Day. Let's celebrate this wonderful day by breaking stereotypes, by being daring, ambitious, by feeling empowered, and by also valuing our fellow women. Truly, sky's the limit to what we as women can accomplish. In this segment, we are going to talk about a few women in our community who have gone above and beyond their immediate duties and have made a wider and lasting impact on others. While in doing so, they have also become immense sources of inspiration to the rest of us. One of Martin Luther King Jr.'s very popular quotes says, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" These women have gone past just posing this question to oneself and have converted that drive to impactful actions, and thus have changed the world around them for the better. Come along, let's learn who they are and also hear from some of them. Here's Chetana's Women's Day awardees of 2020. Can we get the slides, please? Next slide, please. Our first awardee is a kind-hearted, loving and caring instructional assistant and a para-educator who works at Westview High School. She has worked with special education kids at the Independent Skills Center for over 25 years now. During her free time, she has helped the elderly with their groceries, bill payments, and with other household needs for over 2 decades. Chetana recognizes Pam Erickson for her compassion and service. Thank you, Pam. Next slide, please. Our next awardee also works at the Westview High School. She has served at the Independent Skills Center for over 10 years now. She has won many accolades during her career, including the Best Teacher of the Year Award, as well as K103's Teacher of the Month Award. Amidst all of these, she has managed to find time to guide and mentor underprivileged kids, and has lent a helping hand to cheer up the lives of people suffering from clinical depression. Chetna would like to thank Michelle Hart for all of her contributions. Thank you. Next slide, please. Elegant, outreaching, and humanitarian. Dimple Ghiwala, our next awardee, possesses all of these qualities and much more. She works as a counselor and advisor to help fellow women dealing with women's issues, and has taught yoga at the Balaji Temple for the last 2 years. Through her volunteering efforts, she has even taught yoga to prison inmates. Dimple, thank you and keep inspiring. Next slide, please. Anita Ramachandran is the co-founder and former president of Savera. In Oregon, Savera offers free, confidential, and culturally sensitive services to South Asian women and children who are experiencing domestic abuse. Through Savera, Anita has helped promote the independence and dignity of South Asian women through education, empowerment, and solidarity. Chetna salutes Anita for her noble efforts in bringing smiles back to many fellow women in the community. Next slide, please. A loving mother to her 5 kids, Julie Thompson has worked for and contributed to the community in many ways. She has supported a young woman to build her career by funding for her entire bachelor's program. The young lady now holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in education from a reputed university. She has organized the Giving Tree and has worked with Midtown branch of DHS to supply gifts to children in foster homes. She has volunteered through the Portland Women's Crisis Line to support troubled women. She has helped the Women's March team with their contributions of toiletries, socks, and other essential items to several women's shelters. Julie Thompson, you're truly an inspiration. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. This humble, down-to-earth, and unassuming person is recognized as an unsung hero among many in the community. She has been volunteering and teaching young kids at the temple and Chinmaya Mission for several years now. She works actively at Chinmaya Mission to help selflessly serve many in the community. Her volunteering services extends to helping at the Oregon Food Bank and also with cooking for many homeless shelters in the greater Portland area, and the list keeps going on. Chetna recognizes Suma Krishnamurthy for her years of selfless service to the community. Thank you so much, Suma. Next slide, please. Madhavi Vavilapalli is the founder and key member of iMission. iMission raises funds to help underprivileged patients in India with their eye surgeries. She is an active contributor to many of the community's philanthropic efforts, which includes efforts to help reinstate Oregon wildfire victims with funds and essential supplies. She manages all this while holding a day job at the Westview High School as a paraeducator, instructional assistant. Chetna recognizes Madhavi for all of her contributions over the years. Thank you, Madhavi. Next slide, please. Subha Singaram started Shooting Stars Foundation, aspiring to break the cycle of poverty through education. Through her foundation, she has helped raise funds to support college education for 40 academically bright, underprivileged kids in India. She not only identifies and raises funds to support education, but has also contributed to provide emergency aids during times of natural disasters. She has helped organize charitable events to raise funds for the Chennai flood relief, home constructions for victims of the tsunami, among many other causes. Thank you, Subha Singaram, for your efforts in leading such wonderful and meaningful causes. Next slide, please. We will conclude our 2020 awardees list with recognizing yet another extraordinary person, Dr. Marian Bohr. Dr. Bohr served as a missionary doctor for nearly 30 years in Nellore, Andhra Pradesh. During this time, she served the poor and underprivileged in India with utmost compassion and is also fondly remembered back there as Biramma Doctor. She has authored a book on her journey titled Medicine and Miracles Among the Multitude, The Adventures of a Missionary Doctor in India. Her accolades over the years even include streets named after her in India. Chetna salutes Dr. Bohr for her outstanding service to the humanity. We would like to also express our heartfelt gratitude to Marika Fuchs, who is the primary caregiver to Dr. Bohr, for helping us establish communication with this wonderful soul. Thank you, Ms. Fuchs. And now, over to Soumya for introductions to Chetana's 2021 Women's Day awardees.
Thank you, Padma. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the awardees and thank them for inspiring all of us through their services to the community. First slide, please. So our first awardee of 2021 is a kind-hearted person who contributed to the community in many ways during pandemic. Aishwarya was the first person to start community service during pandemic in Portland metro area. She led the Chetna Foundation's virtual event to support Abhay Kshetra orphanage and also coordinated Chetna Seed Project to support kids with disabilities in Kerala. She also collaborated through Magic Beyond Barriers for fundraising. Thank you, Aishwarya, for inspiring all of us. Thank you. Next slide, please. She is the one, Kavita Kolluri is the one who leads and manages Chetna Foundation's youth leadership program and mentors youth board members. Pre-COVID, she organized sack lunches every other weekend for youth volunteers. She is the person behind distance learning organized through Chetna, which was a huge success. She is also the advisor and also the event organizer for many youth events that happens in Portland metro area. Chetna recognizes Kavita Kolluri for all your contribution to Chetna Foundation and youth program. Thank you, Kavita. Next slide, please. Reena strongly believes in fostering youth with a sense of compassion by engaging them in acts of social welfare. Along with Kavita Kolluri, Reena manages Chetna Foundation's youth leadership program and mentors youth board members. Pre-COVID, she also organized sack lunches every other weekend for youth volunteers. Besides engaging with the youth board, she is an active volunteer in other Chetna activities. Reena, thank you for your selfless service to the community and mentoring our youth. Next slide, please. Our next awardee is a successful entrepreneur in Portland metro area, and she's none other than Anju Kataruka. She owns a mortgage firm and inspires many women aspirants. She is an active supporter and sponsor behind most of our Chetna activities. Though Anju inspires all of us, Vandana Ketan is the person who inspired Anju to take part in community service. So I would like to thank Vandana for inspiring Anju and allow her to take part in most of the services of Chetna activities. Anju, we are very thankful for your service to the community and Chetna. Next slide, please. She is one key member of our Chetna Foundation, and she's been part of Chetna since 2007. She's none other than Uma Sundaram. Uma played a key role in Chetna's collaboration with Soulbox, and she has been taking part in many events of Chetna. And she is the core volunteer of Chetna Women's Forum. She led mask making project for frontline workers during the pandemic. Chetna recognizes Uma Sundaram for her service. Thank you, Uma. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Next awardee is Padma Alluri. She is a Portland-based woman entrepreneur in technology space. She provides numerous employment opportunities for people around Portland metro area, not just in Portland metro area, but both in US and India by keeping pace with her personal, family, and social life. She strongly promotes women being self-reliant and economically independent. She is an ardent believer in giving back to the community and practices her acts of kindness by supporting organizations like Chetna and many other that touches lives around the globe. Thank you so much, Padma. Chetna would like to recognize your service. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Oh, our next awardee is such a kind-hearted, super active, and an awesome dancer. She is none other than Aarti, who we all know. Aarti is an instrumental in starting Chetna Seattle chapter, and she also organizes food distribution every weekend for women and children's shelters in Kirkland and Bellevue, Washington. Through her Zumba sessions, she raised money and donated to Chetna Foundation. Thank you, Aarti, for all your efforts and service. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Cynthia Moore has been with Chetna for almost 2 years and been supporting Chetna's bottle drive every month. She is consistently donating at least 2,500 bottles every year. Chetna recognized Cynthia Moore for her service. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. Thank you for being amazing.
Thank you so much, Padma Shri and Soumya, for walking us through some of these great women and the service they provide to our community. A huge congratulations and thank you for all the wonderful service you provide to our community. We would like to invite some of these enterprising women to share their costs and experience with us. I'd like to start by inviting Aishwarya Dhananjay, whose thoughtful idea not just helped serve healthcare workers in the front line during the COVID, but also in the process support small businesses in the community. Aishwarya Dhananjay.
Good evening, everybody. A very happy Women History Month. First, I would like to thank Chetna, its founder, Shri Ravi Venagala, and all its wonderful members for recognizing me and my work for the year 2021. Thank you so much. It's really an honor that I have been recognized by Chetna along with these wonderful women who have contributed so much to our society and our community. I'm one who strongly believes that if there is a change that needs to happen in this world and happen in this community, it has to be initiated by a woman. Women are the source and the power behind all the changes that have occurred during the centuries of evolution of mankind. My association with Chetna and the work I have been doing now currently with Chetna is something wonderful. It has been my pleasure working with an organization like this. And it is an organization where you are encouraged to bring your creativity, bring your own ideas outside. My first major project that I worked with Chetna and its wonderful volunteers was the Jai Bharatam event. Jai Bharatam event was done in the summer of 2020. Our main goal was to support orphanages back home in India. There's a small story like why I started associating myself with Chetna. When the COVID pandemic happened, like everyone around, I was also very concerned what is going to happen to me, what is going to happen to my family, and above all, what is going to happen to the world around us. And one thing that really saddened me was the plight of homeless people, migrant workers, and orphanages back home in India. And every day through Facebook, I used to see the wonderful work Chetna, through its Chetna India Foundation was doing, serving migrant workers, serving homeless people across 4 states, 5 states in India. And this was a huge task, and that really impressed me, and I wanted to contribute somehow by associating myself with this. And that's how Jai Bharatam came, and it was an event to raise funds for the Abhayakshetram orphanage in Tirupati. We were able to raise around 8 grand, and we used it to support various orphanages across India, across many states with their food, medicine, and basic needs. And that was the beginning of this whole journey. And while working with Shri Ravi Venagala and Chetna, I found that it was a very, very passionate group of people who really want to go and make a change. It was not for the fame, it was not for anything. It was just the pure passion of helping out people. And the second project that we did together was Magic Beyond Barriers. And Lini Tarapal and I, we came up with this idea where we'll have a fundraiser for the Different Arts Center in Kerala, which is run by Professor Gopinath Muttukad, who is a UN ambassador and who is a famous magician and who has been helping kids with disability through his magic and his work. And this fundraiser, which was held in December 2020, was a huge success, phenomenal success. And we worked with Malayali Association all across US. It was viewed by so many people, and there was a huge amount of contribution that is going to benefit the kids at the different art centers. Jan 2021, we did a project with Seed India Foundation in Tirukoilur in Tamil Nadu, India. We raised funds to provide basic educational needs and basic educational workshop for Dalit children with disabilities. So Tirukoilur is one of the districts in Tamil Nadu, which is, or the taluk in Tamil Nadu, which is like very, very underdeveloped with a huge Dalit population. And there are a lot of kids for whom access to basic education is very difficult and challenging. And Chetna worked with Seed to help with this. And currently, Padmashri Gargesha and I, we are initiating a project to provide toilets to boys' high school in northern Karnataka. And we are also trying to provide some basic educational needs to this small village near Bagalkot in North Karnataka. So these are the few projects that I've been associated with. So every project I worked with, one thing that amazed me was the dedication Chetna Foundation and its volunteers had towards this project. And the response time, like if I talk to Shri Venigala about, like I say, there is an orphanage in distress and can you do about it? Within 24 hours, relief would have reached that organization through Chetna India. There is 100% transparency. And the joy of giving is seen very well in this. And what's wonderful is that most of the events that Chetna do is organized by its core women volunteer. And all of them highly educated, respectable mothers with full-time jobs who dedicate themselves, dedicate every free minute they have towards these causes, be it shelters, working for orphanages, working for youth programs, or working for any cause. They are out there in full force. And it has been like being part of the sisterhood has been like wonderful. And thank you, Chetna, for that. Congratulations to everyone who has been recognized today. It has been an awesome program. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Next, I'd like to invite Cynthia Moore. She's been the force behind our bottle drive. So I'd like to invite Cynthia to share a few words with us.
Hello. Thank you so much for this honor. I'm really deeply humbled by the generosity and recognizing the very small part that I'm able to play in supporting this critically important work. As some people have touched on today, you know, as a mother who works full time, you know, it's not always possible for me to contribute more fully in volunteer activities if I'm just trying to get through day-to-day activities. So I was really excited to learn about from Purnima Nuna about the bottle and can drive that her daughter Monica initiated with the Youth Leadership Program. And so every month now for about the past 2 years, I've been donating to the drive and trying to collect cans from friends. And so it's really been a wonderful thing. It's introduced me to this really terrific organization and have met some wonderful friends. And so I'm especially pleased just to know that these donations contribute toward the mission of spreading happiness, supporting a healthier environment. In my own career work, I'm a psychology researcher, and so my work focuses a lot on the importance of well-being in family and communities and what we can do to lift one another up. And so I am very appreciative of the work that Chetna does in that regard. And I'm really excited about this particular event the Women's Forum is recognizing Women's Day. So, according to the United Nations, the idea behind the day is a time of reflection on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and determination of ordinary women. And this seems to align so well with the forum's focus on women's mental health and the day-to-day challenges that women face. And I think, especially given the additional daily burdens women have really been confronting due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which seems to show a lot of burden is falling particularly hard on women, that this goal is more important now than ever. And, I think Malala Yousafzai said it best, that we cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. And so that's something that I bring to my own work, and I think is reflected well in the work that you all are doing. So I thank you for the invitation to join you today. This has been a very inspiring event. And I thank you for the valuable work you all do. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for your work and for the lovely words and inspiration that you are providing to every one of us. I'd like to invite Uma, who is now going to be our next speaker. We all know Uma as our Mind Behind the Soul Box initiative and a number of other things she does for Chetna Foundation. Uma.
Thank you, Gayatri. Hello, everyone. Happy Women's Day for everyone, especially to all my beautiful, strong, and compassionate Sakis. I'm very grateful and privileged to receive this award. Thank you, Chetna Foundation, for this opportunity to give back to the community. For both initiatives that I led, I'm very pleased and fortunate to say that I got to work with the finest people. The connections we make and the souls we touch through these services are soul rewarding. I have so many people to thank who I worked with during these initiatives. If I forget someone, please forgive me. It's not intentional. I would like to thank and share this moment with Ellen, Melanie, Rajesh, Kalyani, Kanchan, Konika, Divya, Sagar, Vaidehi, Jaya, Siri, Madhavi, Renuka, Sharma, Anika, Ashmita, Ashwini, Kirti, Beth, Libby, Krishnamurti, Rohini, Sage, Shalini, Chandu, Archana, Shilpi, Divya, Anjali Gola, Preeti, Sridevi, Renuka, Pratima, Sarika, and Purnima. Under the umbrella of these team leads, there were so many kind souls stitching and delivering the masks. I think volunteering helps to plant more and more seeds of love, kindness, and charity, which grows into hope and faith in the society. During this time of uncertainty, a small act of compassion from each one of us can be a change agent in society. If anyone would like to support any initiation of Chetna Foundation, please feel free to contact me or any other volunteers. I want to finish with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Again, thank you so much. Gayatri, over to you.
Thank you so much, dear Uma. And our final speaker from our volunteering event would be from Padma Alluri today. Padma?
Yeah, hi Gayatri. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Gayatri. Good evening, everyone. And hope all of you are having a good time here. I'm absolutely enjoying all the motivational speakers and their speeches. Great event. And thank you to all the volunteers for putting this up together. I'm truly humbled, honored, and at the same time excited to be in your midst, to be recognized for this Women's Day. Just wanted to share a few words with all of you on this special occasion. As we all know, women are no longer confined to the hearth and home. They made their mark in business for various reasons. We women want new challenges and opportunities for self-fulfillment. We want to prove our mettle in innovative and competitive jobs. And we want the change to control the balance between our family responsibilities and our business lives. And this is not easy by any means. However, as we have seen, it's not impossible, as we've heard from our previous speakers as well. I truly respect and thank all my fellow women leaders and entrepreneurs around the world for their courage, commitment, persistence, and passion in making a significant impact in all segments of economy of the world. So big shout out to all the women and superwomen around there. Next, on behalf of my organization, ITS Corp, I would like to thank Chetna Foundation for magnifying and acknowledging our little efforts towards community service. I would like to express my deep appreciation to Chetna, who continuously reminds everybody that what we are doing today is planting a seed for the future. And Gayatri, as you said, one of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill is what you had quoted earlier. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And this powerful quote resonates with me because it constantly reminds us how service to the public is such an integral part of any society. And of course, because it strengthens our personal values. Giving to charity encourages friends and family to do the same, which I have witnessed firsthand, and I'm sure many of you have experienced the same. And don't we all agree that this is a great platform to teach the younger generations, teaches them a lot of valuable lessons that can be taught in classrooms. And I personally experienced that charity introduces our children to the importance of generosity and compassion. And we all know this helps make the world a better place. Community service helps provide food, clothing, shelter, education to the needy, and the list is endless. And today we are witnessing organizations like Chetna make this happen globally in communities across the world. And that's remarkable, truly remarkable. I would just like to end my thoughts with this saying, this world will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in. So let's all come together and make this world a better place. And so many of you are already doing that. And congratulations to all the awardees. And thank you so much for having me here, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Padma, for all you do and for the lovely words, the inspirational words, and getting us all engaged and to be
Thank you.
To join hands. Right? I'd like to take a moment to reflect and thank all these heroes who are amongst us, making our community so much more better in every way they can, and for sharing their experiences with us, for thinking about others, and hope this inspires many more of us to join hands for a better cause and make this truly a better world to live in. Thank you all. Okay. Let's actually have a quick fun quiz time now. I'd like to invite Uma to take the lead over here. Radhika and Purnima will be facilitating your answers in YouTube and Facebook. Good luck, everyone. Uma?
Hi, Gayatri. Thank you so much, Gayatri. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. What time is it now? It is quiz time, Masti time. So hope you're all enjoying the celebration. And so feel free to answer in YouTube or Facebook. We have two beautiful ladies, Radhika and Purnima, helping me with the answers. So are you ready? Next slide, please. Here's the first question. The first few questions are kind of a warm-up question. So what is the International Women's Day? When is the International Women's Day celebrated worldwide? The choices are 8th March, 8th April, 8th February, 8th June. If you were listening to Gayatri's introduction, she had already told the answer. Radhika and Purnima, do we have any answers?
Yes, Uma, we have in Facebook. It's Suprita, Madhviraj, Kamala, and Chitra. They have said March 8th.
Awesome. Madhvi, Suprita, and who else?
Madhvi, Suprita, Kamal,
Anju. Anju, great job, guys. Great job. All right.
We have Kavita Koluri on YouTube. She also got the correct answer.
Great job, Kavita. Awesome job. Let's move on to the next question. Next slide, please. So who was the first female Prime Minister of India? A very, very easy question, kind of warm-up question for everyone. Any guess? Anyone yet?
Yes, we have on Facebook. It's they are like Chitra, Kalyani, Anju, and Kamala. They say Indira Gandhi is the first Prime Minister of India.
Awesome, awesome. That's the right answer, guys. Great job. Great job.
Kavita also got the correct answer.
Great job, Kavita. All right, let's move on to the next question. Next slide, please. All right, next question is science related. Let's see how much you know about your body. What are the two types of cholesterol? Dun, 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 dun. Any answers yet?
Yes, we have so many answers on Facebook. There are so many, like more than 10 people answering, like LDL and HDL. Sri Charity, Suprita, Anju, Madhavi, Chaitra.
Great answer, guys. Yes, HDL and LDL, high density lipoprotein and low density lipoprotein is the correct answer. Radhika, do you have someone too who answered correct?
Yeah, we have Maithili, Kavita, Aruna, Sudha, lot of people. Good job.
Good job. Good job, guys. All right. Next slide, please. We are now moving on to Bollywood. For which movie did A.R. Rahman win an Oscar? Do we have any right answer yet?
Yes, they are Chaitra, Kalyan, Aruna. It's like we have a couple of answers. It's Slumdog Millionaire or J-Ho.
Oh, okay. Slumdog Millionaire is the right answer, guys. Whoever got Slumdog Millionaire, they got it right.
Michelle, Suprita, Lakshmi, and so many people have answered Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay, congratulations to all. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
Which planet has the greatest number of stars? And I can give a hint. It is the biggest planet in the solar system.
Yeah, I have an answer here. Sindhu.
Okay. Go ahead, Radhika.
Yeah, Sindhu's. Oh no. Oh, she's got the wrong answer.
I have so many answers on Facebook.
Okay.
There is Aruna,
Want me to say the right
Sweeter,
answer so you can tell
Kamala,
if you got it
Lakshmi,
right? I can tell
Neelima.
you the right answer. The right answer is Jupiter.
Jupiter. Yes. Yeah.
You can shout out the names now who all got it right. Okay,
Yeah,
next
we
slide,
have,
please.
yeah, Sindhu, Kavita, Deepa, like all of them got the correct answers.
Super, super. So the next question is, we are back to India. Who is the first woman IPS officer of India? Your fingers are typing faster.
Yes, they are. There are so many people. I can't read all the names, but I'll try. It's Aruna, Chaitra, Kamala, Lakshmi, Suprita, Pratima, and Madhavi, and Peony.
Okay.
And they said all Kiran Bedi is the answer?
Yes, Kiran Bedi is the right answer. Awesome, awesome, girls,
Yeah.
boys, whoever is answering the question, kudos to you all.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, Kavita, Sindhu, Renuka, like we've got a couple of correct answers here.
Nice. Okay, next slide, please. So next question is testing the anatomy of the body. Which is the largest internal organ in the human body? Do we have?
Yes, we have we have the correct answer from Suprita, Peony, Madhavi, Kalyani. It's the liver. Liver is the answer.
Yes, liver is the answer. Awesome.
Yeah.
Radhika, do we have
again
on Facebook?
Yeah, Kavita and Sindhu, they've got the correct answers.
Oh, awesome. Great job.
Yeah, there's a little bit delay, but many more people have correct answers for the last question as well. So good job, everyone.
Great job, great job. Okay, moving on. Next slide, please. If you are a bird watcher, this next question is going to be an easy one. What is a group of crows called? All right. Do we have any correct answers?
Yeah, we have Sindhu. Sindhu's got the correct answer.
Oh, okay. Let me tell you the correct answer. The group of crows are called murder of crows.
Yeah, we have so many answers from Facebook. Swati, Tara, Suprita, Lakshmi, Peony, Madhavi.
Oh, wow. Nice. Good job, guys. Good job. All right. Next slide, please. The entire month of March is celebrated as Women's History Month. In which country? The choices are A, Russia, B, Britain, C, United States, D, China. All right. The right answer is United States. Do
Yeah,
we
we
have
have from
someone?
Facebook. Yeah, from Facebook, we have Peony, Chaitra, Lakshmi, Nilima, Suprita. They all answered PSA.
Nice, nice. What about Radhika? Do you have any right answers from there?
We have Kavita, who's got the correct answer. Good job.
Very good, very good. Next slide, please. Okay, let's see how familiar you are with famous TV shows. Which famous television show uses several street names from Portland? I can give you 3 choices. A, The Simpsons. B, The Family Guy. C, Friends. It's about Portland. So, do we have right answer from Facebook or?
Yes, from Facebook, Kamal. She says The Simpsons.
Yes, that is the right answer. The Simpsons. Cool. Do you have Radhika?
Yeah, we have Sindhu's got the correct answer.
Nice job, Sindhu. Great.
Yeah, there are so many nice. Suprita, Chaitra,
Yeah.
Madhvi, they're all answering the correct answers too.
Great job.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Okay, who is the first woman to win a Nobel Prize? I'm going to tell the right answer and we'll see who got it correct. Marie Curie is the right answer. Anybody from FB and YouTube got it right?
Yeah, FB, so many people. Shilpa, Suprita, Peony, Lakshmi, and Chaitra.
Okay, YouTube, we have some right answers.
Yeah, Kavita, Abhay. I think the answers are slowly coming up.
Okay.
Deepa.
Cool. Yes, it is Marie Curie for her work on radiation. Cool. Okay, next slide, please. What is the name of the Indian writer, popularly known as the human computer? There was a movie about this person recently. I can give that hint. I'm sure many of you are going to get this one right.
Yeah, I can see Sindhu's got the right answer on YouTube.
Oh,
Facebook. Yeah, on Facebook.
Shakuntala Devi is the right answer. Sindhu, great job, Sindhu. Purnima, who else do you have?
I have Kalyani, Shilpa, Madhvi, Sarika, Chaitra, Lakshmi, Anju.
Oh, wow. Great job, guys. Next slide, please. Okay. Who is called the Nightingale of India? I can give you a hint. She was an Indian political activist and a poet. You guys are typing faster now. I can.
Yeah.
All right. I will tell you the answer first. Sarojini Naidu is the right answer. Do we have any right answers in the YouTube and Facebook?
Yes, from Facebook, I have so many answers. Lakshmi, Nilima, Sarika, Mini, Madhviraj, Anju, Chaitra, Peony, Suprita. There are so many people saying Sarojini Naidu.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Radhika, how about you? Do you have any right answers from YouTube?
Yes. Sudha, Kavita, Deepa, Abhay. Yeah, all of them have correct answers. Good job.
Okay, good job, good job. Okay, next slide, please. If you are a fan of Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, next question is going to be a piece of cake. How many hearts does an octopus have? That's the question. This is an interesting question, right?
It is.
It is. I got it wrong. Radhika prepared this question and I got it wrong.
I have like a couple of answers coming up.
Okay, I will tell you the answer though.
Yes.
It's interesting. Octopus has 3 hearts. Let's hear the right answers, name of the right answers, please.
Yeah, Suprita, Madhavi, Aruna, Peony, Lakshmi, Kamal. They all have the right answers.
Good job. Good job, everyone. Radhika, how about you? Do you have any people who got it right?
Not yet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. We went all around the world and now we are back to Oregon. The next question is about Oregon. What is Oregon's official nickname? I can give you a couple of choices. The choices are A, Green State, B, Beaver State, C, Nature's Playground, D, Frontier State. All right, do we have any right answers?
There are
No,
so
we
many
have
right
a few.
answers coming up in
Okay.
Facebook.
The answer is Beaver State. Let's hear the names.
Yeah, it's Chaitra, Lakshmi, Anita, Madhavi. They're all saying beavers. There are so many people. Sorry, I can't read the names.
Okay, Madhvi and Sindhu are keep on getting the answers right, looks like. Right?
Yes.
Radhika, do you have anyone from YouTube?
Yeah. Yes, lots of correct answers. Like I have Maithili, Deepa, Sudha, Abhay, Kavita.
Awesome. Great
Ashita.
job. Great job. All right. Next slide, please. Again, testing your Bollywood knowledge. In the movie Om Shanti Om, what does Deepika Padukone's character Shanti Priya do? The choices are: she's a singer, she's an actress, she's a journalist, or she's a lawyer. Okay, I will go ahead and give the answer. She is an actress.
Yeah, we have so many answers from Facebook. Uma, there are like Suprita, Pratima, Anju, Deepa, Shilpa, Kamal, Chaitra.
Wow, wow. Looks like they're all movie lovers.
They are.
Radhika, do we have anyone from your side?
Yeah, lots of correct answers. So Deepa, Maithili, Sindhu, Kavita, Abhay. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nice job, everyone. Nice job. Next slide, please. Okay, who was the first Indian female president? The choices are A, Srimati Pratibha Patel, B, Srimati Shweta Singh, C, Srimati Pratibha Kumari, D, Srimati Meera Kumar. Okay, can we go for the answers? Let me tell the answer first. Srimati Pratibha Patel is the right answer. Do we have the names? Can
Yeah,
you-
from Facebook, we have so many people. It says Pratibha Patel. It's Lakshmi, Madhavi, Anju, Suprita, Kamal, Peony, Chaitra.
Oh, wow. So many people. Nice job. Nice job. Can
Nice
we have?
participating in that.
Yeah. Radhika, do you have any people
Yeah.
names? You got it right.
Lots of correct answers. Sindhu, Kavita, Abhay, Sudha.
Oh, nice. Great job, everyone. Good job. Next slide, please. Who is the lyrics writer for A.R. Rahman's Academy Award-winning song Jai Ho? Choices are Wali, Gulsar, Mustafa Ahmed.
Do you want to read the answers
Yes.
choices again, please?
Yes, the right answer is Gulsar. Let's go ahead and hear the people's names who got it right.
So from Facebook, I got Kamal, Madhavi, Anju.
Madhvi is rocking. Anju, you're rocking here.
They said all. Chaitra, Suprita.
Chaitra, Suprita. Keep it going. Radhika, you got anybody who got it right?
Yeah. Abhay got it right. Good effort, Sudha and Sindhu.
Great job, Abhay.
They're trying.
Sindhu, great job. Okay, we are almost nearing the end. Our time is up. We have a couple more questions. So if you live in Portland, you got to know the answer for this question. Can I have the next slide, please? What is the name of the TV show that was about Portland and its people? Pretty easy, guys. The answer is Portlandia.
I got so many correct answers from Facebook. It's Gayatri, Peony, Lakshmi, Kamal, Chaitra, Suprita.
Gayatri, Kamal, Suprita, great job, guys. Anju too, yes. Radhika, do you have anyone?
Yeah, Sindhu, Kavita, Deepa, Abhay,
Abhay,
Maithili.
Maithili.
Yeah.
Super job, everyone. Okay, final question. Next slide, please. This question is the final question and testing again, Bollywood knowledge. Who is the first Miss Universe from India? All right, the right answer is Sushmita Sen. Let's hear the names. Purnima and
from Facebook, I have Gayatri, Madhavi, Neelima, Anju, Lakshmi, Suprita, Komal,
Suprita,
Chaitra.
come on. Awesome. Radhika, do you have anyone?
Yeah, lots of answers like Kavita, Abhay, Sudha, Deepa, Aishwarya.
Wow, Aishwarya. Great job, everyone. And that concludes our quiz session. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you all. And again, a very happy Women's Day. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you, Uma. That was fun. We touched from crows to space to some of the women in Bollywood and presidents. So thank you, Uma and Radhika and Purnima for coordinating between Facebook and YouTube and all the answers and everything that's going on. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gayatri.
Now, let's take deviation back into our motivational speakers. It's with great pleasure I announce we have two speakers from India, guest speakers from India. Thank you for being with us this early in the day and being willing to come in and share your thoughts. First, I'd like to welcome Dr. Shanta Thautam, OSD Textiles and Handicrafts at Government of Telangana. And she's a evangelist for innovation and startup. So I'm actually excited to hear from her. She's been recognized for grooming young and talented innovators with her support and encouragement, which have led to many more innovations and to give back to the community and the society. That's actually great to hear. She's also an active social volunteer, helping to fundraise and support COVID relief in Mumbai and Telangana. Without much delay, I'd like to invite Dr. Shanta Thautam to share a few words of inspiration with us here today. Hold on, we're trying to get some technical issues sorted out. Give us a second.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt that was my calling, and I ended up working for 5+ years in an entrepreneurship institute while I was working on my dissertation. So in 2016, after I graduated, I felt like I should do something different than being an electrical engineer. And during that time, I heard about the newly formed state Telangana, that's my state, and our very much visionary IT minister KTR Garu. Hope you guys might have heard about him. He's a very dynamic and young leader in India, and his vision to build startup ecosystem, and that too in Hyderabad. So as I already worked in US in an entrepreneurship institute, and I worked in New York to kind of help startups scale up. I approached India's largest incubator based out of Hyderabad, T-Hub, and I kind of explained my calling, and I expressed interest to go back to India given an opportunity. So they understood my vision and they gave me an opportunity, and I relocated back to India in 2016. And I would say, with all the great learnings I have in US and in India, that looking back, my decision was really good. I'm really happy that I came back, and I'm serving India, the nation building part of India, and especially in the startup ecosystem, and helping innovators to kind of commercialize their technologies and yada yada yada. So until 2020 April, I was serving T-Hub in full capacity, and then I decided what is the next thing for me progressively to contribute back to the society, and especially Telangana and India. And again, I went back to our IT minister, and I kind of expressed interest, like how can I contribute more in different capacity now that like I worked 3 years 8 months at T-Hub. Then he kind of gave me a couple options, and
The office runs special duty for textiles and handicrafts panned out very well, and I'm really happy about it because couple things that I could connect back is I'm from the Weavers community. I'm from Warangal, where we are setting up a big 1,200 acres textiles, mega textile park in Warangal, and I'm from Warangal too. So naturally, everything has fallen into place, and I took this role 6 months ago, and things have been really interesting. I'm learning every day because this is a very new sector for me, and it's a great place to be in, honestly. Worked in private and semi-private, and then again completely into government. My journey with Chetna has been super interesting, I would say. Um, uh, After I put down my papers at T-Hub, lockdown started very interestingly, and I was thinking like, how would that transition look like? But it was a very beautiful transition. From April 2020 onwards, I'm very active on social media, especially on Twitter. A couple people from Maharashtra kind of reached out to me seeking for some support, and I was like going to a lot of this, going to a lot of people tweeting about their distresses, they're not able to get support from other people. So somehow I just jumped in. Like maybe it comes naturally to me. Even when I was in US, I used to do a lot of fundraising events, helping people. I used to serve meals on Wheels on Meals, but not on a larger scale. Whenever I used to have time. So then I said, like, I reached out to them, like, how could I help you guys? And they said, they need some groceries to begin with, and I kind of raised some funds here and there, and we catered, groceries to these people who are based out of Mumbai. But these people went ahead and told other groups also, like from Telangana, Hyderabad, she's extending support, and I got almost a list of 12 groups. And then I was like thinking, I was like scratching my head, like, how could I go ahead with all these people? So, but as our intentions, I guess, our intentions matter a lot. So I just put my intentions out in the universe, I guess, and things have fallen into place. And more and more funds started coming in for me. More and more really good people who really wanted to help, during this pandemic situation came together and we started working. And one fine day, our municipal commission of Warangal, GWMC, Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation, reached out to me and said, we have 3,700, COVID warriors, like sanitation workers. Can we do something to take care of those people? Then I was talking to one of my friends, maybe I'm not sure if she's on call today. Lavanya, she's based out of. I generally reached out to all of my friends, saying like I would like to raise funds, and Lavanya said immediately, hey, you know what? I'll connect you to Chetna Foundation. They're doing phenomenally well, and in Portland and other parts of the globe, and they would provide you with good support. And then I was connected to Ravi Garu, and based out of Kamam, Rangarao Garu. And I would say these people are really, really, really kind and phenomenal people. And for anything from I would say like May 2020 till yesterday evening, I would say they are like one message away, one call away. So seeking their support, I could raise 20 lakh rupees for the GWMC, and we kind of use that money to purchase gloves, hats, saris, and like the paraphernalia that is used to protect the sanitation workers. So it was like really thoughtful way of raising funds to take care of our COVID warriors. And it did not stop there, because we are all like-minded people. We wanted to kind of take care of, and it just continued. And Chetna Foundation kind of helped me even fund migrant workers provide groceries to migrant workers based out of Hyderabad, based out of Mumbai, based out of Warangal. So every time I'm like, I don't have any resources, I would run back to Chetna and say, Ravi Garu, like, I'm running out of, funds, I need some support. And he's always there. We'll do it. We'll do it. So it's like that kind of affirmation, that kind of support. It's not that easy to kind of get from, everyone. And I really, really appreciate, Chetna Foundation for that. And even Rangarao Garu, who's based out of Kamam, like, he's phenomenal. He's like, anything I go to him, like, he believes in me, he trusts me. And I kind of, I always ensure whenever I'm running to him, I'm taking a legit case to him. Very recently, he helped me build a roof for an old couple. And now we are working on this project of, providing TVs for digital learning centers in 120 Jilla Parishad high schools, government high schools of Narayanpet. So Rangarao Garu, when he reached out to me saying like, we have this laptop giveaway drive where we could contribute 50% of the cost. Then I reached out to the official based out of Narayanpet, and I asked the district collector, ma'am, like, we have this wonderful opportunity and we should definitely leverage it. And then, I kind of got through all the things together, and Rangarao Garu jumped in, and we purchased 120 TVs, which would be eventually going to 120, ZPHS schools in Narayanpet, which is like very, very much remote, I would say in Telangana, like that is a remote place. So we'll be distributing very soon. We do have, we just finished our MLC elections yesterday. So in a couple of days, we'll be distributing those 120 TVs. So, what I would like to say here is like, it's the intentions, and then at the same time, how the universe brings the right people together to work on these, initiatives, I guess. I'm really happy and blessed, I would say, to get in touch with Chetna and especially Ravi Garu and Rangarao Garu to kind of back me all through, like not only lockdown but post lockdown, to like any distress I see and I run to them, and we are working as a group, and it's such a privilege. And when Ravi Garu asked me to be part of this, I said like, I'll definitely be part of this and share my thoughts and spread that positivity. Like we are all here to kind of hold each other's back and share that, and those moments like which all of us will cherish for life and beyond, I guess. This is a really good opportunity for me to share my experiences. I'm sure I might have missed a lot of my learnings and my experiences with Chetna, but given in that time frame, like I could not cover everything. Eventually, I always thought about 2020 and I should write a book about it, because I have seen, I kind of encountered what is life. We always sit in that AC rooms and working in front of computers and fancy jobs and good designation and fancy but life is not that easy. When you get in on ground, life is very different. There are so many people. There are so many people with health conditions who don't even have any information where to go and how to get help. It's all about seeking help from the right people, right? So these people, they are super helpless. They don't have anybody to kind of go and ask for a favor or ask for how to get out of a situation. So 2020 has been quite an interesting year. So I always kind of tell myself how grateful I am to life for giving me this kind of lifestyle, I guess. So I don't have any complaints. I never used to complain about my life, I guess. I never used to compare my life to other people, others' life.
So at least, especially these situations will make us more humble and grounded. And I'm sure all of us have our own set of learnings from 2020. Having said that, it's great to meet all of you guys on this platform. Wish I were in US, but I left US after living for 15 years. I had great learning from US. I have a lot of respect for that country, and the best practices and the best learnings what I could imbibe in the US, I am kind of implementing in India for the betterment of our society, for the large cause of betterment. And I really appreciate all of you guys for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my experiences. Chetna Foundation, you have been, a rock solid support to me. I really, really appreciate it once again, and thank you so much. I'm sure, this journey just has begun, and we have many more things to do together. And I promise that I'll ensure we get legit places to work for. Thank you so much. I wish all of you a very happy Women's Day again, and let's celebrate our successes, our failures together. Just now I heard Cynthia saying we all cannot succeed. Half of us are left behind. I believe in that. Women empowerment and making sure we hold each other's back and kind of keep marching. Thank you so much, and I wish all of you guys very best.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shanta, for being very open and your candid talk and how what you're doing to change, getting into the ground and changing things around us and the community. Thank you for sharing your wonderful thoughts with us. Okay. Our next speaker, I'd like to invite Shubhadra Rani. Let me introduce a few words about this dynamic leader as well. Shubhadra Rani is passionate about the society, youth, and women empowerment. She brings in her rich experience working with global organizations like the USPSSCS and the US Customs to serve the society with zeal, to understand the real problems in the society and address them through various activities. She is the founder of Nipuna, a non-profit organization striving to build a strong nation by providing employment opportunities for youth. She's also passionate about women empowerment for livelihood, empowerment of women to overcome poverty, livelihood support for marginalized communities. I guess I can keep adding on to the different things she and her organizations do. And I would like to invite her to share a few words with us.
Hello, can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can.
And namaste to everyone. And I know how to work on ground, but I don't know how to speak. And you can please bear with me for a few minutes. And just I wanted to start my talk with a small sloka, which I learned from my childhood from my grandfather. It's called Sabhakalpatarum Vande Veda Sakopajivitam Sastra Pushpa Samayuktam Vidvat Brahmara Sobitam Sabhayai Namaha. The elders by us and the elders by wisdom, the elders by support, and the elders in all the ways. So my regards to each and every person who is watching this show and who is already organizing this one, everyone on calls. And Balika Aham, Balika Navayuga Janita Aham, Balika, Naham Baladurбhala Adisakti Aham, Ambika Aham. This means I'm a girl of modern times. I'm not a feeble or powerless. I am Adisakti, I am Ambika. This is showing the power of a girl. And Nipuna Human Development Society, I'm the founder. Before starting and launching Nipuna Human Development Society, almost for the pilot project, I traveled all over India for 14 months. Entire interiors of India, I traveled. There, I have an opportunity to meet so many communities, so many states, so many people with different languages. Without languages also, I met people. In India, there are some places, there is no language, only sign languages. They don't speak any language. So there I found the problem with so many problems addressed on ground level problems. And I have done some pilot projects in different issues. And I launched Nipuna last year in 2020. And I'm in CSR head and partnerships for Seva International. There, I'm working with very closely with the women empowerment in Seva International. And we adopted in Uttarakhand, there is a big cyclone, entire human lives, everything were vanished. That time we adopted Rudraprayag, Chameli, few districts. Now 4,312 women are powering through us. I'm the person who is Hima Sampada. We make them do the agriculture. We call it as Hima Sampada, pulses, so many varieties wherever they are interested. Every woman now they are able to earn 10 to 15,000 rupees from their own villages. Almost 4,300 women empowering today from Seva International. And when it comes to Corona times, it's very bad. I don't think it's a bad period, but Corona gives us an opportunity to take the humanity out of each and every person. So many millions of people, they came forward to support when the Corona came up. And from March 27th, we started our relief activities for Corona for migrant workers. And because my capability, we thought in a way that, okay, why don't we cook for 20 to 25 people a day? At least that is our limit. The day when I started with 200 meals. And when it comes to after a week, we started cooking almost 3,500 meals per day. We do serve for the people and migrant workers particularly, and almost 1,500 to 2,000 lunch packs per day for the stray dogs, because we cannot leave them because nobody is there to feed them. At that time, Chetana, I heard about from my brother, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar. I got an opportunity. It's my pleasure to meet Ravi Garu at that time. And he came forward to fund to serve the migrant workers. He is the person, he came forward. He sent a lot of support from US to India. And that is done up. So we got an opportunity to serve many more at the time of migrant workers. At the same time, I worked with all nodal officers from India to support the people who stuck anywhere, to support with the trains, buses. We arranged everything. We send them to the native places. That is again different thing. And at the same time, we got an opportunity. October, we got heavy cyclones. One night, I think night 11 o'clock, one day, Ravi Garu, we are just discussing on our call. Ravi Garu, cyclone is, it's heavy rain. We don't know what to do. Ravi Garu said, Subhadra Garu, can you please do one thing? I said, yes. Is there any possibility to go out and to serve the paper? So night 1 o'clock, my power came from US through Raviji's Chetna Foundation, and women on ground are working. This is called women power, I always feel. Night 1 o'clock, I made few people to wake up. I made them wake up. So with food bags, milk, bread packets and everything, since night, almost 48 hours, we are on roads. Couple of my team, they are working in the kitchen and we are on the ground. We found the people, we saved many people. Almost per day, almost 10,000 people we used to serve with the Tetra Pak, milk and all. Thanks to Chetna Foundation for supporting in that cause. And through Nipuna, I have done a pilot project, as I said before, and I found a huge gap between the academics and industry requirements. So I got an opportunity to meet so many industrialists at the time of my travel in India. 14 months I have done the pilot project. So I met the industry. I request them only one thing. You don't need to do anything to the nation. But in the city, you in rural areas, you can find many more capabilities from the students. Only they lose in interviews because of the communication skills. I requested the industrialist, can you please come forward? You train the take the students, give them an opportunity to enter into your company. You train them according to your requirements, then rejecting them in interviews. Because particularly, I think not only India, it's a global issue. I think so. If youth is minds are vacant, so many negative energies, so many negative people, they are waiting outside of our houses to attract the youth minds and to convert them into the negative energy to the nations. So if we can give them an opportunity, then their lives will be settled. So after that, they can change the job, they can go for a better life. That is again different issue. But giving an opportunity at the early stages is very important. So almost 180 companies, they came forward in different industries. So my opinion, we are going to just start a job fair from each and every state. April 11th or 18th, we are almost announcing the job fair. Today, I have almost 8,900 jobs in my hand. 3,500 jobs are only for girls. Only for girls. Those companies, they don't take and they don't entertain any gents. So 3,500 jobs for the girls. And we are conducting a job fair in Hyderabad because they requested me to do from Delhi, start from Delhi onwards. But I wanted to start from Telangana because I'm here. I wanted to just how it goes on. I wanted to see how it goes on. So, and I love Telangana because where I am living here. So I wanted to start my first fair in Telangana. And one more thing we do on ground, I do create self-sustainability projects to the women who are not educated and who are willing to support their family. We do invest for the primary projects. We do invest. I have few projects already. We about to launch May 8th on Mother's Day. I am launching one project. In two states at a time. We are launching two projects on May 8th Women's Day. We do create clusters of women, 15 to 20 women clusters. We do create. We do launch the projects. They are the owners. Up to 6 months, I'm the person who take care of the operational expenses, and the entire investment is us. But after once they go into operational, we do provide full training. After once they go into operationally, even marketing and everything, we will take some percent of the profit because we need to invest for the next projects also. So we need to expand entire India like this self-sustainability design only for women. Uneducated women. On top of it, we do some degree graduates and all. So they'll become the owners of the project, owners of the small entrepreneurship, those companies. So we don't be after certain 1 year or 2 years, we don't want to be part of that model anymore. They are the owners, they are the shareholders, they'll become the entrepreneurs, whatever they can. This is one more model we are launching. And we are running few ashramas, and in rural India, there are few places where I cannot, because of the confidential issues, I cannot mention the area names. I'm extremely sorry for that. There, so many people, they'll take village girls out of that village. They'll use them physically and they'll throw them out. Those villages, if a man touches a girl, that girl should not enter that village anymore. If the parents are allowed that girl inside the house, they will be discriminated. That entire family must leave the village. So girls' parents also, they don't come and they don't entertain the girl to come inside the village anymore. So where those girls are 13, 14 years old girl, where they will go? So we are running one ashram there. We'll keep the girls there, and psychological and entire psychological counseling and everything will be provided in that ashramam, and we will provide the educational financial aid for that. So for that, so many friends are supporting us. Whenever, so every month I'll go to the ashram. Because if they lost their life, whatever it is, the girl's mentality is always a girl. If it is a prime minister of a country also, the girl, it's a genetical chromosomes, X and Y chrome, that's it. So the girls, they have some desires, they need something. So every month I do visit the ashramams. We do provide everything what a girl wants. So we'll settle them in lives, give the education, and a few girls, they got jobs, they got married. So everything will be taken care by our ashramam. And this is the one thing we are doing now. And it's a continuous process. And yeah, Chetna Foundation, I don't need to mention about Chetna Foundation every time, because everybody knows, Panchabhutas. This is called earth and fire, water and sky and Agni. Without Panchabhutas, there is no life there is no lives. We don't need, those are must for us. We know about it, but we don't need to talk about Panchabhutas each and every minute. Just because of Panchabhutas, we are living. We don't need to talk about all these things. But without Panchabhutas, we can't live. No human being live. Like without Chetna Foundation, any disaster comes, Chetna Foundation always presents there. Through in India, he always, because we are the just like instruments for Chetna Foundation. So like Panchabhutas, we don't need to talk about Chetna Foundation. Without Chetna Foundation, no, many NGOs are just thriving on Chetna Foundation. I always believe, and all the donors and Chetna Foundation, I always feel very happy. I'm very pleasure to meet Chetna Foundation. And I wanted to say one Telugu sloka for all the ladies. Naru nade, niru nade, narula nara narala dhvaninche juri nade, nari vijaya bheri nityamu nade. It means, as a woman, the naru nade means the seed is mine. And for the seed becoming a plant, the water is mine. And inside the person, whatever the blood is flowing inside the body is mine. So we cannot, I don't want to restrict a day, only one day for me. The success and the victory of every day is mine. The Women's Day is not for a woman to celebrate only one day. The entire year is ours. We are giving an opportunity to the men to show their support and appreciation towards women. We are giving an opportunity for them to give a day. That is called Women's Day. And Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Subhadra Garu, for getting in the ground, sharing some of your thoughts and realities that you face when you're providing service to these communities, things that we would have never imagined or been exposed to, but being there and uplifting humanity and humankind. Thank you for being that, and thank you for being an inspiration to me.
But one thing I wanted to tell you, on ground works, everything going on. I think whoever is watching today, whoever is on live today, all because of all these people only, all these things, all the golden hearted people, because of all these people, things are happening on ground. I wish you all be happy always.
Thank you for recognizing the donors and Chetna Foundation. And so I invite all of us to join more and give more and be happier. I'd like to quote Pablo Picasso. He basically said, the meaning of life is to find the gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. Meaning, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. I repeat it because those are profound words, right? And so I think it's time for us to take a moment, reflect it, and join hands and be part of the change that we expect to see in this world. Thank you so much, our speakers from India who woke up at the wee hours to be with us and share some thoughts with us. Thank you all. And hope everyone is having a fun time so far, and being inspired, being carried away, being part of the change, and having fun too at the same time. That's what life is about, and that's what this evening is about. Now I'd like to welcome Sindhu for sharing another wonderful announcement with us. Sindhu.
Thank you, Gayatri. And hello, people. I'm back again. And this is also a very wonderful announcement. As we all know, the Chetna Foundation does a community benefit activities in USA and across the globe for the people who are in need. This noble cause, which I'm going to mention, will help the women who have gone through a lot of distress in their life. These women need help and support to stand on their own feet financially and support their family. Chetna Foundation has come up with a plan of donating sewing machine. Not only that, also giving a professional sewing training. This opens up a lot of opportunities for the women and where they can stitch the clothes for themselves and also start a small business or even get a job at a garment industries and earn their livelihood. Chetna Foundation is inviting all of us and encouraging all of us to support this wonderful cause, which is going to empower women. Any help is a big help. So, and also please watch for more information at Chetna Foundation Facebook page. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you so much, Sindhu.
Sure.
Yeah. We are transitioning to the next part of our segment, which is going to be pretty interesting. We all know that health is wealth, and spending time on ourselves, especially in this unprecedented COVID era, it's a must-have, right? So with that, I'd like to quote, wellness is basically a connection of two paths, knowledge and action. And as part of that first one, let me welcome two of my physician friends today here to share their thoughts on a very important topic, preventative medicine, Dr. Swati and Dr. Anita. They will be discussing both youth and women wellness, followed by a Q&A time, an interactive Q&A time for all your questions. Uma will moderate the questions with the doctors. And thanks to Radhika and Purnima, who will be receiving your questions on YouTube and Facebook, respectively. Let me start with a brief intro of these fabulous doctors. Dr. Anita Raj did her medical school in Bengaluru Medical College in India. She completed internal medicine at North Shore Medical Center in Salem, Massachusetts. She practiced in University of Massachusetts and the Worcester campus before moving to Portland in 2008. She's been working for Kaiser since then and strongly believes in preventative health and uses evidence-based medicine to work with her patients. She's passionate about improving quality in patient care. She currently serves as the Chief of Service for the Department of Internal Medicine for Kaiser and Co-Chief Quality Officer for the Northwest Kaiser Permanente. She'll be talking first about women preventative healthcare, followed by Dr. Swati Kakodkar. I'd like to say a few words about her as well. Dr. Swati Kakodkar is a family practice physician currently practicing at Providence Medical Center in the Bethany Clinic, so very close to us. She's originally from Goa, India. She earned her medical degree from Goa Medical College and subsequently a post-graduation in obstetrics and gynecology from Goa again. She moved to US in 2002 and completed her residency in family medicine from AHEC Fort Smith, University of Arkansas. Dr. Kakodkar has special interest in women's health and has 15 years experience in treating women's health related issues. In her free time, she enjoys crafts, traveling, spending time with her family, and she looks for opportunities to give back to the community. Welcoming these fabulous doctors to share some advice and insights with us today.
Hi, thank you, Gaya, for the introduction. Hello to all the wonderful women. It's been amazing to hear all the wonderful work that has been done around the world. I would like to thank Chetna Foundation for giving me the privilege to speak about women's health as part of their Women's Day celebrations. I'm going to be talking about age-appropriate screening test in women. A lot of our patients come to us and they ask whether it's important to get the screening test because they don't have any symptoms, they're feeling great, and they don't have any family history. And my answer to them is absolutely yes. These are screening tests not done for any symptoms. This is a general recommendation. The first screening test that I'm going to be speaking about is a cervical cancer screening. This is recommended for all women between the ages of 21 to 65 years. The two most common methods of testing is a Pap test, which is just a cervical cytology, and the other one is a co-test where we do both the Pap test and also check for high-risk HPV, which stands for human papilloma virus. The frequency of this test depends on the kind of test that we get. If we just get a Pap test, it is every 3 years. If we get a co-test, then it's every 5 years. I want to call out that the frequency is only dependent and with the assumption that the previous tests were negative or normal. If the previous tests are abnormal, then the frequency and the recommendation changes. In females between the ages of 21 to 29, the recommendation is only to do a Pap test. The reasoning behind this is even if they have a HPV infection, which is a human papilloma infection, it is assumed that it is going to be a transient and that it will resolve with time. We start getting concerned if the HPV infection persists beyond 30 years of age. Another thing that I want to call out is if somebody had a total hysterectomy with the removal of the cervix, there is no recommendation to get ongoing screening for cervical cancer unless they had the hysterectomy because of a precancerous cervical lesion or if they had history of cervical cancer itself. The next screening that I'll be talking about is breast cancer screening. Breast cancer is the most common non-skin cancer and the second most common cancer of US, causing death in US. The screening is done by mammography. Between the ages of 41 to 49, we recommend individual discussion with the patients and a shared decision making, whether someone would like to start the screening at that age. But the evidence-based recommendation is definitely to start the screening at age 50. And the screening can be done at the intervals of 1 to 2 years. There is no evidence-based recommendation for a clinician breast exam or a self-breast exam as part of the screening. The third screening test that I'll be talking about is colon cancer screening. There are several methods of how we can do this. I'm just going to briefly mention a few common methods. One is called as a FIT test, which is a fecal immunochemical test, which checks for hemoglobin in the stool. If a person chooses to get this test, then it has to be done every year. If the test comes back negative, then it has to be followed up by a full colonoscopy. The other test is a sigmoidoscopy, which only checks from a rectum to the splenic flexure. Layman's term, it's just the left side of the colon. And the frequency is 5 years if the previous tests have been normal. But again, any abnormal sigmoidoscopy has to be followed up with the colonoscopy. You already heard me talk about colonoscopy a couple times now, which is the definitive and the gold standard test to really check for colorectal cancer. If the colonoscopy is negative, then the recommendation is to get it once in 10 years. The colonoscopy really allows a complete visualization, detection, biopsy, and also a removal of the polyp, which is what we are looking for when we do the colonoscopy. There are risks associated with the colonoscopy. Patients need to do a bowel prep, which takes 1 or 2 days. And there is also sometimes conscious sedation involved. And patients also have to be aware of the risks associated with the procedure itself, which is bowel perforation, bleeding, and infection. The fourth topic that I would like to discuss is menopause. Menopause is cessation of a woman's period, which is also defined as amenorrhea, which is not having a period for at least 12 months duration without having any other causes for the amenorrhea. And blood test is actually not indicated or necessary to make this diagnosis. And menopause is usually preceded by a period called as a perimenopause time, which may start as early as 4 years before the final period. And this is where women start to see changes in their periods and irregular periods. Menopausal symptoms are also common. The most common is hot flashes, which can occur up to 80% in 80% of the women. And they may perceive more as a heat in the upper chest area, facial area, and it gets generalized. Usually this resolves within a few years, and only in 20% of the patients that it becomes really problematic where they seek any treatment. The fifth topic that I would like to discuss is osteoporosis. This is defined as low bone mass, which leads to low bone strength that can cause fractures in the bones. The recommendation is to start the screening at age 65. Earlier start is recommended in postmenopausal women if there are risk factors like any prior history of fracture or any parental history of a hip fracture, or if somebody was on a long-term glucocorticoid steroid therapy. The test that is done is called as a bone mineral density testing, which is also called as a DEXA scan. The results are given in T-score, and anything less than minus 2.5 is diagnosed osteoporosis, and we do recommend treatment for that. Patients are also advised to take 1,200 milligrams of calcium and also 1,000 international units of vitamin D for all menopausal women. I think I just spoke about more of wellness of the body and preventive health. There is another thing called as wellness of mind, which is equivalent to self-care that most of the speakers spoke about today. It's about taking the time to care for oneself, doing things that bring pure joy and happiness to oneself, whether it may be just taking a walk with your friend, pursuing a hobby that you have always put aside, or doing activities that you're passionate about, music, dancing, or learning cooking, going to cooking classes, or doing anything. The list is endless, right? So you can do whatever brings pure joy and happiness. I think that's more of a wellness of the mind. Taking care of one's own health is extremely important for everyone. Most of the women taking care of family, children, focusing on their career, daily chores take precedence over focusing on their own health and happiness. Today, I really would like to urge and highly recommend and humbly request each and every one of us to make the health and wellness of each individual a top priority. Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Swati Kakodkar. I would like to hand it over to her. Thank you all.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Swati.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I am really honored to be here, to be a part of this celebration of International Women's Day. And I would really like to thank Chetna Foundation for giving me this opportunity to present myself and talk on preventing women's health, which is one of my favorite topics, as I believe in the age-old saying, prevention is better than cure. The topics that I'm going to talk about today are broadly 4 categories. The first one is teenage health, birth control options, preconception counseling, and pregnancy care or pregnancy-related issues. Now, coming to teenage health, puberty, as you know, is one of the most important phase that a woman goes through. You experience a lot of physical and emotional changes, and sometimes this can be stressful for the teenagers as well as the parents. And I think in US, the teachers, the health teachers and school nurses do an excellent job in educating kids about puberty and what to anticipate and changes that they will be going through. I would urge parents, especially moms, to be proactive in educating and explaining their daughters about puberty and changes related to it, like onset of menstrual periods. Sometimes they may be not prepared. It's one interesting fact that I want to point out, that it is seen that the girls are starting their menstrual cycles at earlier age, like 10 to 11 years, compared to what was about 40 years ago when our parents, our grandparents used to start their menstrual cycles maybe around 12 to 14 years of age. And the exact reason for this is not known, but one of the theories that they have put forth that this could be due to kids being overweight or the hormonal interplay, but the exact reason still is not known. As far as the preventive health in teenagers is concerned, I feel that they should be seen by their physician at least once a year, wherein we monitor their weight, their height. We screen them for depression and anxiety, which could be a problem because there are lots of hormonal changes that go on around this age. We counsel them against tobacco, alcohol, and drug use, which is sometimes seen, and also give them general advice. And I go by this 5-2-1-0-9 formula. So what that means is we advise them to have 5 servings of fruits and veggies. They should have 2 hours or less of screen time, which is not possible these days during this COVID pandemic because they are all learning online and they have online school. They should have at least 1 hour or more of physical activity, 0 sugar or sweetened drinks, and 9 hours or more of sleep. Believe me, all their growth occurs in sleep. As Anita mentioned, we recommend pap smear or cervical cancer screening starting at age 21. And if they are sexually active, we also counsel them and screen them for STDs or sexually transmitted diseases and discuss about being on birth control and birth control options that they would counsel them against birth control, basically. Coming to the vaccination or immunizations, there are 3 main vaccines that we recommend during the teenage years. And I'm not talking about the younger children, but mainly about the teenagers. The Tdap or the tetanus vaccine at 11 to 12 years, and this is needed for school, and it's a mandatory vaccine. The other vaccine is meningitis vaccine, which we recommend at 11 to 12 years, and the booster is done at 16. And this is also needed and mandatory for some of the college admission. And the last vaccine that we recommend is HPV vaccine or vaccine to prevent human papillomavirus infection, which can cause cervical cancer. And even now they're saying that it may cause cancer of the vocal cords or the larynx. So the way we do it is if they are younger than 15 years, then they need only 2 shots. And if they're older than 15 years, then they need 3 shots. Spaced out every 2 months or 6 months. This is an optional vaccine, but we as doctors strongly recommend this as it can prevent cervical cancer. Some of the common questions that I get from teenagers are issues related to their menstruation. And the most common thing is they would come in with cramps or dysmenorrhea, what we call it, which is very common in teenagers. And what I would recommend, you don't have to go to fancy medications, but just a plain ibuprofen, but in the right dose, like 400 to 600 milligram taken every 6 hours should help. If they do have severe cramps, then we prescribe other medications to help with the cramps. The other common thing with menstruation that we usually come across are irregular cycles. And this usually happens during first year after they start their menstruation, and which is very common, but as they go along, they come back on track. The other common problem that teenagers face is acne. And sometimes this can be very problematic for them. I usually advise like very common and easy methods like frequent face washes, over-the-counter prescription acne creams, over-the-counter creams. Sometimes if it is too bad, then we do prescribe prescription creams. And if the acne is really bad, then we do counsel them to get oral antibiotics. Now, the next topic that I'm going to talk about is birth control. I know that I get a lot of patients coming in with unwanted pregnancies. And since I specialize in women's health and I have a lot of female patients, they come in and they request termination because they don't want the pregnancy to continue. And this can be really physically and emotionally stressful for the patient and the whole family. So to avoid that, I think we should each and every one of us should seriously think about being on some form of birth control. The options are, of course, condoms, which is not really a very good method. The other options that we have are birth control pills, IUD, which is an intrauterine device, which we place in the uterus. The third option is the depot injection, NuvaRing, Nexplanon, etc. Coming to birth control pills, as you know, the birth control pills have two hormones in them, the estrogen and progesterone. Now, if your doctor prescribes you birth control pills, then and if you go through the inserts, medication inserts, you will see a lot of side effects, but doesn't mean that you will get all of them. The most common side effect that you would notice is nausea. When you start on the birth control pill, you might feel a little nauseous, but the nausea would get better with time. The other more common side effect is headache, which also gets better with time. But we do not prescribe birth control pills in people who have migraine, the special type of migraine, which is called migraine with aura, because they can be at risk of having stroke. Blood pressure can also go up when anyone is on birth control pills, especially when they're more prone for blood pressure or if they're more than 40 years old. The main side effect that we really worry about is when you are on birth control pills, you are more prone for forming blood clots. Now, it doesn't happen in everybody, but it would be more in people who do have family history of clotting disorders. And so asking those questions is very important when we prescribe birth control pills. And then the other method, whenever we prescribe the birth control pills, the next question is, when do I start the birth control pills? At what phase of the cycle? So what I usually recommend is you start your birth control pills within the first 7 days of your menstrual cycle. But if your periods are irregular, we advise you to take a pregnancy test and start it if the pregnancy test is negative. If you are past that first 7 days of your menstrual cycle, we usually advise patients to wait for the next cycle and then start accordingly. Now, if you are on birth control pills, again, I get this question a lot. If you are on birth control pills and if you find out that you are pregnant because you missed a pill or something, you should consult your doctor immediately. I'm not saying that birth control pills have a lot of major side effects on pregnancy, but we try to avoid and we stop it as soon as we find out you're pregnant. The other birth control options are depot injections. It's one of the progesterone hormone injections, which we give every 3 months. I personally do not like this as much because this is one of the methods which causes the most weight gain. And I don't think so any one of us would like to gain weight. And so, but it's a very good form of birth control. It's an excellent form of birth control. The next option that we have and that we we counsel patients are IUD, or the intrauterine device. It's a T-shaped device that we place in the uterus. There are two types of IUD. One is Mirena, which is a hormone-based IUD, and the other one is copper-based IUD, which is called Paragard. Mirena is good for 5 years, and Paragard is good for 10 years. The most common, I should not say it's a side effect, but the problems that patients have with Mirena is spotting and vaginal discharge. It's also very common not to have your periods when you are on Mirena. I know I get a lot of questions from patients that I don't have my periods. Is it going to be okay? But when you are on Mirena, it's okay to not have periods. And that's how it works. With Paragard, with the copper-based IUD, it's really a good method if you do have high blood pressure, because it doesn't have any hormones, so it would not cause any of the side effects related to the hormones. With Paragard, you may have abdominal cramps and heavy cycles that we see mostly. The last option that we have is Nexplanon, or an implant. It's a progesterone hormone implant that goes on the inside of your arm. This is good for 3 years, and this is a preferred method by teenagers because they don't want to go for other things like IUD because it is invasive procedure. And this may cause the only side effect with the Nexplanon is it may cause irregular spotting, but sometimes it may not cause any periods at all. The next big topic that I'm going to talk about is preconception counseling, because I have a lot of patients that come to me and say that, hey, we are ready now to get pregnant, and how do I prepare myself? And so if you're planning on getting pregnant, you should start taking prenatal vitamins or folic acid, extra folic acid, as folic acid is known to lessen the birth defects and helps prevent miscarriage as well. And if you do have chronic problems like high blood pressure or diabetes or epilepsy or seizure disorders, all this should be controlled and the medications need to be adjusted. I know that pregnancy is a very highly anticipated and exciting phase of life, but sometimes it can provoke anxiety as well. So when you find out you're pregnant, you should start yourself on prenatal vitamins. If you are on any medications, you should immediately consult your regular doctor or your gynecologist. And the prenatal vitamins should have 400 micrograms of folic acid, as it helps with the organogenesis and reduces the birth defects. I get a lot of questions about weight gain during pregnancy and what is the ideal weight gain. So the weight gain in pregnancy is determined by your pre-pregnancy body mass index or pre-pregnancy weight. So patients who are underweight, as per their pre-pregnancy body mass index, they can gain up to 28 to 40 pounds. Those who have a normal weight gain, those who have a normal weight or a normal BMI, they can gain up to 35 pounds. And those who are overweight or their BMI is high, they can gain up to 20 pounds. You should also consume a well-balanced diet, including omega-3 fatty acids. The unpasteurized foods should not be consumed, which I don't think so any one of us does, because it can cause listeriosis, which is a very serious problem if you're pregnant. You should also limit your caffeine intake to 200 milligrams, or that is equal to two cups of coffee. You should avoid artificial sweeteners. And one important point that I want to mention here is certain fish here in Northwest should be avoided. I'm not saying all the fish, but certain fish like king mackerel or big-eyed tuna. These fish are known to have high amounts of mercury, and they can cause congenital neurologic problems. Pregnant women, also we encourage them to for regular exercise and cardiovascular activity for at least like 150 minutes a week. Strict bed rest is not recommended unless you have some pregnancy related problems or complications, and it is advised by your gynecologist. And of course, avoiding alcohol and smoking, everyone knows about that. Now, coming to medications during pregnancy, you should always consult your doctor or your gynecologist before taking any over-the-counter medications other than prenatal vitamins. Tylenol which is taken by majority of people for any aches and pains, is considered safe. Cold medication depends on some of them, like antihistaminics or allergy medication, if they're used for short-term use, are considered safe. Many GI medications which we do for acid reflux, like Prilosec or Pepcid, are considered safe, but you have to, as I said, you have to consult with your gynecologist. One drug which should not be used during pregnancy at all, throughout the whole pregnancy, is ibuprofen or Aleve or anything in that category, because this can cause problems with the heart. It can cause heart defects, especially if you use it in the third trimester. And one small mention of ginger. Ginger is considered to be safe and effective for controlling nausea, which many pregnant people have. I also get questions about topical creams, if they have eczema or anything, if they're using any topical creams, if they are safe, and these are considered safe. 3 pregnancy-related issues that I would like to talk about are thyroid problems, as I have lots of patients with hypothyroidism and they are on thyroid supplements. And if you are on thyroid medications and you get pregnant, you should not stop the thyroid medication. You should consult with your GYN as soon as you find out you're pregnant, or your regular doctor, and they will check the blood thyroid levels and they will adjust your medications accordingly. Thyroid medication requirement will increase during pregnancy. And there are certain levels which are different for pregnant women from non-pregnant women. The second pregnancy-related issue that I would like to talk about is gestational diabetes. Many patients will have diabetes that happens only during pregnancy. You are at risk of having gestational diabetes if you do have a strong family history of diabetes. If any of your parents have had diabetes, and you are at risk. Again, it might happen in one pregnancy, it might not happen in the other, because each pregnancy is considered different. But if you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes, you are at risk of developing diabetes in future, and should be screened for diabetes every year, which we do by doing a test called A1C. And usually we recommend, if you are pregnant and if you do have diabetes, we recommend taking high protein, low carb diet. The third and last problem that we come across, which is very common during pregnancy, is hypertension. Sometimes some patients, even if they do not have high blood pressure otherwise, might develop high blood pressure just during pregnancy. And complication of that could be something called preeclampsia. So these patients might be at high risk of having high blood pressure even after they have the baby. And so I recommend following low salt diet if you are diagnosed with hypertension, and taking good care of yourself and checking your blood pressure more regularly if you are pregnant and if the blood pressure is borderline high. The last topic that I'm going to talk about is postpartum depression, which is very much underrated and underdiagnosed. And especially in Indian community, I've not seen it that much because people don't talk about depression, or they don't come forth with a lot of their symptoms. And so you are at risk of having postpartum depression if you have had depression before pregnancy. We usually screen for postpartum depression at your 6-week checkup. Some patients, they experience suicidal ideation and they have obsessive thoughts about harming their baby, but they are reluctant to come forth with it unless we ask them directly. So I think it's very important that if you are postpartum, or if you have had a baby, and if you feel those signs of, if you feel those symptoms of depression, you should talk to someone. And behavioral health therapy is very useful in controlling postpartum depression. If it is very severe, we usually start on antidepressant medication. So one thing also I want to mention, that if left untreated, postpartum depression can lead to poor mother-infant bonding. It can delay infant growth and development. And also there is an increased risk of anxiety and depressive symptoms in the infant later in life. This is just from observational studies that they've noticed. Again, I would like to thank for giving me this opportunity, and now we throw the forum open for questions and answers.
Thank you so much, both of you, for the wealth of information. Yeah, you can ask your questions, reminder everyone, and Uma will be moderating them.
Thank you, Dr. Anita and Dr. Swati, for coming today to Chetna Women's Forum's Women's Day celebration. We have many questions. Let me start with Anita, Dr. Anita. How often does screening need to happen for cervical, breast, and colon cancer? Are there any risks from the screening methods? For example, radiation?
Sure. So the cervical cancer screening frequency depends on the kind of test that the patient gets. If the patient just gets a Pap test, which is called as a cervical cytology, then they need to get the test every 3 years. But if someone gets a co-test, which includes both the cervical cytology and also a check for high-risk human papillomavirus, then the frequency is every 5 years. Again, this is based on the previous test being negative or normal. And for colonoscopy, if the colonoscopy is normal, then the next one is going to be 10 years. And breast cancer, the frequency is every 1 to 2 years based on the history. If somebody has a strong family history with a first degree relative, meaning your immediate, mother, sister with the history, then the recommendation is every year. Otherwise, it can be every 2 years. In terms of radiation, mammogram does not really offer a lot of radiation. I think that's a general myth that exists in the patients. Naturally, just by, for patients, for all the folks living in US, there is a certain amount of natural radiation just being exposed from the nature. And if you really count that, the radiation is counted in millisieverts. Millisievert is the measure that's used. 3 millisievert is what everybody gets just from being, living in US. And mammogram offers about 0.4. So it's about 2 months worth of 2 months of radiation exposure. So it's not really a lot.
Okay, great, thank you. Dr. Swati, is it possible to get pregnant during menopause?
Depends. I mean, the age of menopause can range anywhere from the age of 40 to 55. I have patients that have been 55 and still menstruating. So less likely when you are 50 years and plus, but between the age of 40 to 50, you can be pregnant. I've had patients that between 40 to 45, I would say yes. 45 onwards, it becomes less common, but still, I have the oldest patient that I've had pregnant was 47.
Oh, okay.
So I would say yes, and we have to be careful because sometimes you don't know. You stop your periods and then you don't know whether you are in menopause or whether you are pregnant. And so that's where the hormone testing and pregnancy testing, all that comes in. And so, yeah.
So what are the risk factors of getting pregnant later in life, if at all? Get pregnant?
So after 35, if you get pregnant after 35, we call it a high risk pregnancy. And then I'm not saying that you should not get pregnant after 35, but more than 35 years old is a high risk pregnancy. So we kind of look at the patient very closely and monitor their hormones and kind of do all these testing to see if the baby has any congenital birth defects, because the incidence of birth defects is higher when you are older. And so when you're older than 40, I mean, it goes like from 35 to 40. I don't know the exact numbers, but the incidence of birth defects is way higher if you are more than 40 years old. If you are more than 45, of course, it would be higher too. The other aspect that we come across is patients who are more than 40 years old are at more risk of having high blood pressure. As I mentioned, the preeclampsia. They may have low birth weight babies. They may have preterm labor. All those issues come in if you are older and if you get pregnant.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, what is the best way to prevent osteoporosis?
I can take this, Swati.
Yeah.
The ways to prevent osteoporosis is definitely advising patient to quit smoking, reducing their alcohol intake. For women, no more than 1 drink per day. That is, 1 drink per day is considered okay. Anything beyond that is considered not normal. And muscle strengthening exercises and also weight bearing exercises. These are the 4 things that are strongly recommended to prevent anybody from having osteoporosis. And in general, all postmenopausal women, we recommend them to take 1,200 milligrams of calcium and 1,000 international units of vitamin D daily. Lot of patients come, take it for like 2-3 months, and then they stop it, and then they come back and say, "Can you please check my vitamin D?" I tell them, if you're not taking, it is absolutely going to be low. So just continue to take it, especially for us living in the Pacific Northwest, where there is not enough sunlight. I would say it's a blanket recommendation for everybody to continue to take the vitamin D daily.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from Facebook or YouTube, Radhika and Purnima? Anybody posted any questions?
Yes, Uma, from Facebook, I have a couple of questions.
Please go ahead.
So it's from Radhika Gumari. She's having a question. What are the common symptoms of menopause?
Yeah, so on the same lines, like Kavita had another question, like what is the approximate age that a woman can begin this menopause phase? Is there a certain age that's considered early or late? And if so, what are the complications? So it's related. So I thought I will just say that question.
So the common symptoms of menopause are hot flashes, changes in mood, sleep disturbances, vaginal dryness, and also sexual dysfunction. Among these, I would say hot flashes probably the most common that the women encounters. What was the other question? Oh, the range. Okay. So the menopause, the range is, as Swati said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Swati, it's about anywhere from 40 to 55, I would say. Anybody having a menopause prior to 40, we diagnose mostly as a premature ovarian failure, and we kind of investigate to see if something is going on. And anybody beyond 55, I would say it's a little bit late. I guess if somebody had a premature ovarian failure, then they lose the prolonged benefit of having the estrogen. So that is going to be, which actually helps with the cardiovascular and also for the bone loss, right? So those are the two things that I can think of.
Okay, thank you. There was another question, like from Arshita. She's asking, like, what are some of the guidelines for a healthy diet for teens?
I can take that. I mean, as you know, during the teenage period, a lot of changes occur, and the growth spurt occurs during your teenage time. And since the teenagers are growing, we need a very good balanced diet. Mainly, the main features are it should have a lot of, I'm not saying lot, but good balance of calcium, vitamin D, proteins, fiber. I mean, fiber is important to just for general digestion and all that, and also good amount of a good balance of fats as well, and grains, not to miss the grains. And so they should consume dairy rich products like milk, yogurt, cheese, proteins in the form of, if you are a vegetarian, like tofu, I would say lentils, pulses, and if you eat meat, then of course meat, fish, chicken, all that. Fats in the form of good fats, like in the form of nuts, and good balance of grains as well. I would not say too much of rice, but rice and wheat and all good grains. It should be a good balanced diet, but mainly we should focus on calcium and vitamin D as they're growing, and high protein.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. So you talked about the birth control pills for teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any side effects later on?
When we start on birth control pills, we always have a one-on-one discussion with the patient. And the most common side effects that we come across are nausea. When you start on the birth control pills, you would feel nauseous for a few days or a few cycles, but then as you get along, you will be okay. The other big side effect that we notice are headaches. Sometimes when you start on the birth control pills, you will feel headaches. You are more prone for some of, I'm not saying all the time, but you may gain weight depending on what type of birth control you are on. Your blood pressure can go up, depends on at what age we are starting. If you are more than 40 years old, then you're more prone for blood pressure problems. There are certain other rare side effects like you might get like those liver adenomas, which is just in the books. I've not seen anyone getting them really. But also I would like to mention good parts about birth control, good effects of birth control pill. We always talk about the side effects, but nobody talks about the good effects of birth control pills. So the first one is they make your cycles very regular. You know when you're going to get your cycles. Then also they help with the premenstrual syndrome. So so many patients and everyone gets a little bit of premenstrual symptoms like breast pain. They may feel a little irritable or angry, mood changes. Some people get migraine just before they have their period. So birth control pills can help with those. And also the big advantage in teenagers especially is they help with acne. And so these are some good effects. I know you were asking me about the side effects, but I just wanted to mention about the good effects of the birth control.
That's good to know, Dr. Swati. We always look on the side effects or what will
exactly.
happen. But this is great to know. Good effects. That's really good. Any questions from FB?
Yes, I have some questions, Uma. They are having they work in the healthcare and see lots of young patients with different cancers like young lungs and brains, etc. Is the rate of cancer high in Oregon?
As far as my, because I have a lot of teenage patients, I have not seen, especially here in Oregon, a lot of cancers, especially in my patient population, but I've not seen a whole lot of lung or brain cancers. Of course, there are exceptions and we get a few, but not too many as far as my patient population goes. I don't know about Anita. To say.
I have to agree with Swati. I have not seen increased incidence of lung cancer or brain cancer in any of my patient population living in Oregon.
Thank you. I have one more question from SFB. Is from when we need to take calcium and vitamin D supplements?
I think we generally start recommending to take for most of the women. The calcium recommendation is about 600 to 1,000 milligrams per day for premenopausal women. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the recommendation for vitamin D is 1,000 international units for most of us, especially living in the Pacific Northwest area where there is not enough sunlight throughout the year. For postmenopausal women, the calcium recommendation is 1,200.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. Great informative session. We appreciate your time, Dr. Anita and Dr. Swati. Thank you so much. And over to you, Gayatri.
Yeah. Thank you, Uma, for moderating. And thank you so much to the dear doctors for taking our questions patiently, for sharing the wealth of knowledge and answering every question patiently. Remember, friends, investing in your health pays back many folds. So just a reminder to have a wellness routine established and follow all the standard protocols that Dr. Anita and Dr. Swati shared with us. Okay. We arrive at the final part of the agenda today. I'd like to welcome Aruna to wrap up with a word of thanks. Aruna.
Thank you, Gayatri. Good evening, everyone. I'm Aruna Vishwanathan. Thank you for making the time to join Women's Day celebrations today. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate all the women who were recognized for 2020 and 2021 for their time, effort, and excellency in community service. We would like to thank our guests of honor, Mayor Lacey Beatty, Group General Council of Emphasis Preet, Councilwoman Nadia Hassan, Dr. Shanta Tautam, and Subhadra Rani for taking part in this event and for their encouraging words. We would also like to thank Anusha and Nalini for coordinating and introducing us to these wonderful women. All of you might have already seen our wonderful promos for the event. All of these wouldn't have been possible without the help from Sri Lakshmi, Anukor, Kamal, Lakshmi, Pallavi, Ekta, Sindhu, Lini, Neeti, Sumi, and Pramod. Thanks to Aarti for an awesome icebreaker and a wonderful dance performance along with Peony and Nia. We would like to thank our doctors, Dr. Anita and Dr. Swati, for an informative session on women's health, women's preventive care. Thank you to Vinil, Shashwat, Bhavika for taking care of Zoom and live stream controls. Thanks to our wonderful volunteers. Without them, this event would have not been possible. We would like to thank Renuka, Kavita, Pratima, Purnima, Sarika, Uma, Reena, Lalita, Padmashri, Saumya, Radhika, Lakshmi, and Aditi. And sorry if we had missed to call out anyone. A big thank you to all those volunteers as well. It wouldn't have been possible without everyone's contribution. We would like to thank our MC Gayatri for hosting this great event. Lastly, we would like to extend our thanks to our wonderful audience who took time to attend this event. Hope you all enjoyed this evening and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aruna. It's my pleasure. I'd like to take a moment to thank all our speakers, participants, our lovely audience for this wonderful event and for making it happen. A huge thanks to all the volunteers, right? So for the many hours that they have poured in. And finally, the audience for being here. I wish we could have been live. Hopefully next year we'll all be live and have a very wonderful experience. I'd like to close with a couple of final quotes. You must be the change you wish to see in the world, said Mahatma Gandhi. So I think we've seen a lot of these women who have empowered themselves and have empowered the community today and are outstanding examples today, right? Let this be an inspiration to all of us. Here's to all the strong women. May we be them, may we know them, and may we raise them. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Chetna, for the wonderful event and giving me this opportunity.